Welcome, everybody, to Three Sages in a Time Machine. Today, talking about the Paris connection, how the Olympic Games, Freemasons, and Anarchy are all linked together. And I know the title already sounds pretty crazy, and this wasn't actually our program designed to kind of go on air today, but since Paris decided to go full woke, completely nuts, and kind of, portray and disclose all these unhinged, deranged, demonic figures and whatnot during the opening ceremony, and all the news that came out, all these disturbing pictures and all that, since they decided to kind of deliver us something on the silver platter that was so juicy it would be impossible to turn down this very gracious and generous offer. Thank you so much, Olympic Committee. We decided, hey, let's change the program a little bit and let's dive in today's history of this very occult, very mysterious city called Paris. All the entrenchments, all the connections with the shadow groups, and what I truly believe as a thesis, which I'm gonna present to you right now, is the mess that we got served the 26th of July 2024 started the 14th of July 1789. And so without any further ado, let's jump in today's crazy episode and let's get joined by this crazy folks, right? This band of amazing artists and other content creators that, gonna fight the good fight with me today. Three Sages in a Time Machine. Is this episode 8? Is this episode 9? It doesn't matter. It's our episode. It's today. Welcome to the chat. Let's dive right into it and let's see what's cooking. And now, without any further ado, let's welcome Dragon Slayer commentaries and the Reverend Ravenwolf, aka the Derby House Dark Elf, to the show. Welcome, fine gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here with me.
I thought I'd represent with the hat.
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, wow. Oh, look at y'all. Y'all got hats. I got a hoodie. What's up? Oh, man.
You're ghetto.
Oh, yeah. See there. No. I got a hoodie suit. I'm trying to show respect here, sir. This is refined. This is refined ghetto. Oh man, I'm glad to be here. I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, we got an incredible episode ahead of us, guys. I will blow your mind today when I saw the opening ceremony, and then you guys can also chimp in. But maybe you want to tell our beautiful audience first where we can find you, what you usually do, and why the hell you're here with this other crazy guy.
I know dragons go first.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I bully you into going first all the time. I'll do this. Okay. Well, guys, I'm Dragon from Dragon Slayer Commentaries, obviously, and the one and only host of the Tangent King podcast, which I try to stream every single Saturday. Saturday at 3 p.m. every single time, Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and 5 p.m. UK time for you UK folks that need to listen to something while you're getting drunk off your ass at the pub. Okay. All right.
Did you eat Ryan Roger essay? That's the reason why he's not here, and why you're bloopering yourself through your intro.
I don't know. I got a tongue twister there, but hey, in all seriousness, I do make sarcastic commentary videos on all the things that I find while diving in the Hollywood dumpster, mostly the bad crap, like shows like Rings of Power, for example, The Acolyte, the Velma HBO show. I mean, I can go on, but sometimes when we find those gold nuggets, I do cover them because I feel like there is good in this world that must be showcased so that people have hope and keep going, so that one day we get good products most of the time rather than a few times. Okay, and I am working on like 2 separate reviews, and then one is more like why a certain movie was iconic, right? And I got more, of course, in store, but I do believe that this is going to be a wonderful stream. And hey, guys, if you're interested, the link is in the description. But I'm going to stop yapping because I think Dobby really is egging to talk.
No, come on! You're
himself,
just talking for 2 minutes now. It's okay.
Hey, it's 2 minutes. No, that's too long, sir. We're doing short presentations
nothing.
here.
It's nothing.
Go on, Dobby,
Okay.
sir. I am done.
Like me. Hi, I'm Dobby,
Hey,
otherwise known as the Rep, otherwise known as the official pain in the ass of Kotaku. I am a. You can find me on my channel, Hunter Rev Ravenwolf. I do reactions to everything from gaming to dragons to missing Welshmen to Doctor Who. No, no seriousness.
Cardboard Welshman, Dobby. Let's be more specific. He is the Lord of
Where is the
Cardboard.
cardboards? Where is the cardboard Welsh wizard? Where
I
is
don't know
he?
where he went, but I am
Oh.
listening to the police scanner just in case he got kidnapped.
For pretending to be BTK. Is that what this is?
We are very sorry with our very loyal chat community that the Welsh word wizard, who is the owner of the cardboard castle, couldn't join us today. He has a lot of very important things to do, and he's visiting a couple of other streams, and he couldn't make it out today. He needs to sleep sometimes. Remember, he lives on the other side of the ocean, so I totally understand. We will have him back on our next Tuesday show, and maybe
Or even
no.
or captured by Mr.
If he's kidnapped, I'm really sorry for the kidnappers. They don't know what they got themselves into. Like by kidnapping this crazy guy, they are the one who kidnapped themselves, basically, by taking him. Right? You won't get any money because he's fucking broke like a rat in an abandoned castle in Scotland, and all you will get is just furious comments on your looks and yeah, everything else as well. So release him. Let him go back to his computer so we can talk.
Please let him go back to
Let
his
him
house.
go.
He needs to repair his cardboard curtains every 3 weeks. Otherwise, they will just deteriorate.
Guys, I got like when I saw I don't know. I mean, then you can tell me your thing. Like what I had in mind for a while now is to give, 3 Sages in a Time Machine. You know it. This is the show where we shed light into the mystery of history. And so I wanted to start a series actually after the summer because I wanted to prepare this a bit better and 3 Sages, we wanted to look into different cities like Rome, London, Paris, all these other cities. And so this is actually something that took me by surprise. When I saw this opening ceremony, I thought, wow, this is truly amazing and insane. And okay, so let's cover Paris. Let's disclose some of the dark secrets of the city, because at the same time when I saw this, I wasn't really surprised. I told this also yesterday to people. To me, this is typical French behavior. This is normal what they do. Yeah. But a lot of people were surprised. A lot of people were confused. A lot of people were completely baffled by this behavior. And today we're going to break down where this whole mess that we just, witnessed on the 26th of July, where this whole mess actually started and why I believe this is, after the show, you will kind of agree with me. Yeah. Yep. It's no big surprise. This is actually their, philosophical background, if you want to call it so.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So I know this claim is a bit crazy, but yeah, bear with me. It's gonna be, it's a long show. I've prepared a lot of doodles. I've created a lot of drawings during the night. I didn't sleep because I wanted to be this to be a great show. With a lot of course, we're always funny and bada boom and bada bum, but I tried really to put as much accurate information together so you could really understand the context here. So bear with me through all these explanations and little ramifications through 250 years of history. We're going to make it very quick, but we're going to highlight some of the craziest points, some stuff that you probably didn't know to this day. Maybe you knew already, but some of the stuff might, catch you by surprise, and you won't believe what I've disclosed and what we're going to present today. So really buckle up for a crazy ride. This is absolutely amazing stuff because the title is absolutely accurate. It's not just some typo. It's Freemasons, it's Anarchy, and Olympic Games. They all always have been somehow connected, and today we're going to show you how that is.
I'm
So-
ready. Let's go. Let's go.
Just don't
Let's
say
go.
Wakanda forever. Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.
Oh, Kamala, we're gonna
turn Paris into Wakanda. Just your way.
yeah, we're gonna have so much fun with Kamala this year. It's gonna be
Oh
fantastic.
no, it's gonna be
absolutely.
awesome.
So let's take a look at this. And we have to explain a couple of things before. And what we see here is basic.
You've been busy today.
He's always busy.
Oh
with
yeah.
this. It's not the tantric yoga lessons that are done in the Saturday afternoons. It's just drawing art, just art, a good art, Picasso style, like a super. It's like
Thank
super
you.
detailed.
I mean,
It's
Just
amazing.
like, I need it. It's my exhaust valve, basically. So what you see here are the three founders of Anarchy and all the different components of Anarchy, all the different political influences. Because Anarchy, of course, isn't chaos. It's not something that it's not that Hollywood type of purge night. Oh, Anarchy, everybody's crazy. There is no command or anything. Anarchy is, you could say it's a political system that was created in the late 19th century. Basically, like all political systems, like all political parties that we are now enjoying as our happy oppressors while we pay taxes for them. But that's another episode. That's another show. And why is this important? Now let's take a look at this, because all the founders of Anarchy, right, of the Anarchy movement, if you want to call it so, of course, are coming all from the same political basin. They were early socialists, we can call them, and they were all. Their headquarter was Paris, and to be exact, it was the headquarter of the Freemason Lodge of the Grand Orient de France, right? The Horus Boreas that kind of holds the compass and the ruler. Why is this important? Because the Grand Orient de France, the big headquarter that was founded 1777 in Paris, stands in complete contrast to the Scottish rectified rite of Freemasonry. The Grand Orient de France is a group of atheist Freemasons. They don't really believe in God. They call themselves humanitarian, coming out of the Jacobins, out of that tradition. And if you check the mascot of the Olympic Games, which is the Phrygian cap that Jacobin had. By the way, we covered the Phrygian cap and the mystery of the Mithra cult and 3 Sages in a Time Machine as well. So you might want to check out that episode as well. So after the French Revolution in 1789, the Jacobins and their rule of Danton and Robespierre, the bloody rule over France, which was per se like a rule of a para-Masonic group over the entire nation of France. That group later on in 1777, kind of, before that and then later on, formed this Grand Orient de France, which was in complete contrast and is not recognized, is not acknowledged by, if you want to call it so, by the World Freemason congregation. So there is the rectified Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which is the Unified Grand Lodge of England, which was created after the Grand Fire of London. And that is a Catholic, Christian, mystic congregation of Freemasons. We have the Golden Dawn in Ireland and everything that kind of the Rosicrucians, all these groups where we have people like George Bernard Shaw that later then migrated. We have people like Aleister Crowley, Alexandre de Saint-Yves, all these people. And then we have the Grand Temple d'Orient de France, which is an atheist, humanitarian, illuminated type of lodge. And around that lodge that, was created in the late 18th century, we find these three guys here: Pierre Joseph Proudhon, Piotr Kropotkin, and Mikhail Bakunin. And these guys, early socialists, later on communists, they came together and they basically created the foundation of what we call the anarchic movement. So Joseph Proudhon, who is a French guy who came from a poor family, he was born 1809 and lived until 1865. he had this idea.
It's always
to
a poor
create this-
family birth. It's always a
al-
poor family
yeah, it's
birth.
al- it's always
like
a poor-
clockwork, poor or heavily suppressed. Was that?
That
Yeah.
explains Ryan so much.
Oh yeah, this is interesting that he said that because like, so Lizard here was saying some very interesting facts, right? So he says, oh, the Freemasons that he spoke with are surprisingly chill. Well, there's a reason for that. It's because they're no longer in a time where they have to be worried that they're going to get executed or thrown in prison or that somebody's going to try to steal their stuff or their teachings, more to say, or expose everything, right? And so if we go, what I was trying to tell him earlier is that if we go by the Age of Horus philosophy or belief, more like it should not come as a shock to anyone, because the idea of the Age of Horus is that, I mean, Horus is literally he is the son of Osiris and Isis, but he's also the reincarnation, the rebirth, the illumination of the dead creator god, right? And hence, with Horus, the idea of rebirth of the phoenix comes into being. Hence, there is that belief that during the Age of Horus, there will become a time where humanity will no longer need to adhere to the strict systems of what I like to call dogmatic government and religion. More will be about people just learning to be better individuals by studying of their own volition, by the way, of their own volition, studying the spiritual secrets that have been guarded for so long for this exact purpose, but also the secrets to better governance and self-autonomy. And you can now see it in our current age where people are just going insane. And look, to even go back to your point, right? Unfortunately, anarchy is just one of the many times, like with life, okay, in science, with life, with evolution, right? There's always this idea that multiple organisms will start to change over a course of time. However, many of them throughout the dramatic change fail. Many versions fail, but there always will be a few that succeed and adapt and become something new that eventually overwhelm and sometimes outlive the old, right? And so I consider anarchy and other similar cults, organizations of this kind, especially Aleister Crowley's as well, you know, and the Jacobins as well. I consider all these groups to be of the same mold in the sense that they simply adapted and are trying to survive. But at one point, as usual, with change, there will always come opposition. And as a result, you have individuals that always try to paint a bad picture or try to corrupt all kinds of teachings to their own benefit in order to maintain what's always been described as finite, pointless control that will eventually be taken away from you either by force or by the fact that you'll grow old and die. You know, like you can't avoid that.
Absolutely.
So
right.
So
No.
I just want to mention that because I feel like it
Absolutely.
does
No,
connect
that's a
to
good
this
point.
quite strongly.
And also, like to kind of remember what you're saying there, because you're making an excellent point. And I just want to, right away, I know some Freemasons as well. And this show today is not about, kind of blaming Freemasons or kind of, shedding a negative light on them. What we're trying to do today is really connect events that started like almost 300 years ago, right? And brought us to July 26th. And I will kind of try to make the case how everything, because you have to understand politics is a long-term affair. It's not even a marathon. It's an Ironman. We perceive things as a sprint because we're always pressured by expiration dates. We're always pressured because we're competing against time. We need to show up on time. We need to do our work. So everything that we do is almost hourly. It's not even daily anymore. Politics, power, authority, kingdoms, empires, governments, cultures, they think ultra long. This is like long-term planning. And we're going to dive also into some quotes from people who were involved in that time, building these cults, these systems. So this is not about bashing a group, bashing a cult, or shedding negative light on them. It's just trying to kind of unearth this thread that to this day, was spun by these people in the back of governments and in the shadow, in those niches and those cracks. And again, it's also not to say, well, this is like inherently evil, because I understand we're talking about late 18th century, right? There was a French Revolution, the kings were abolished, empires were crushing, civilization was about to change. There was a huge emancipation in all the European countries. We see in the American tax war against the Brits and everything that happened because of that. And so therefore it was a normal thing to think about socialism. It wasn't something inherently evil or bad. People just tried to come up with new solutions, with new system for this world that was in this upheaval and was about to change its geopolitical face, right? So therefore, we see how this then developed later on. But what we're trying to do is like really to give you an accurate idea, not just to just spin some crazy conspiracy theories. Do you think that the Olympics is tied with the Freemasons? Yeah, we're gonna show it tonight. Absolutely, I believe so. Yeah. Yes, I'm a Christian. I believe it's a war of religion. Yes, yeah.
Like ever since it's the war of religion has always been a thing, but like I think it's gotten worse since all of the events happened with Aleister Crowley and how he was kicked out of most orders. Yeah. There's always been this big war on religion. Like every single religion,
especially Christianity.
Religion, like Christianity is trying to survive. Every other religion is trying to survive, but the way Christianity does it is by being super dogmatic, and it's not working for them.
Yeah, so one thing I want to thank you for saying that, Doug, because I do want to touch up a little bit more on what Emily said earlier. So I think in general, it's what I would call a last-ditch effort, one of many, I would say, to come. But at the end of the day, they're all part of a very last-ditch effort to usurp control again, because what happened is, you have to understand, in the beginning, governments knew the best way to control a populace was to control the most, I would say, powerful religious establishment. And for millennia, Christianity was at least in the Western world, Christianity was the most powerful religious dogmatic system in the world, right? And how did they attain that? Well, there's a long history behind it, but in short, Constantine and emperors after him saw opportunity in being able to efficiently control a populace to do whatever they wanted. And what they simply did is they got rid of all the proto-Christian cult teachings that they thought would make it harder to control a populace,
and the Nazarenes, and all the other groups, the Gnostics,
they basically
illusion, mystery rites, etc.
And so what they did is they suppressed all of them and said, "Hey, if you go searching for this, it's heresy." Our version, which most definitely is not biased at all. This is Jesus said. This is definitely not biased, even though the man is long dead and we cannot prove it. And he cannot.
But to be fair, it's not completely wrong what you're saying. But just to be fair with Christianity here, they try to melt a product because the Bible is a syncretic book, guys. So it's not just that one guy wrote it. It's not just one culture representing. It wasn't just one nation. It was multiple. Like we're talking about Syrian, Mesopotamian, Akkadian, Sumerian background.
It's
Egyptian
a melting pot
background.
Religion.
It's a syncretic religion, and so therefore, at a certain point, they had to kind of make sure that everybody understands the message, everybody gets it. What later on happened, especially in the 10th and 11th century, without deviating too much from today's stream, otherwise we're not gonna finish tonight.
That's true.
The insertion, the insertment, that later happened in the 10th and 11th century of kind of making it work also for the Hebrew community, Jewish, inserting Jehovah and melting him into this syncretic religion, that then kind of overfed this whole book, and then it started not making any sense anymore because it was too confusing, too many religions, too many godly figures, too many abstractions and metaphors. And so Christianity, with Constantine, of course, in the 4th century, when they created this huge nationwide cult, right? What they wanted to do is like to give a unified redemption, almost like a peace offering to all these cultures that were also in war with each other. And so the thought itself was not ultra negative. It was not inherently bad. And just what happened later on with, with kind of inserting too much power. And then, of course, with the Roman decadency and the Vatican, then it kind of, it got a completely lost control of the ship.
They did, because they didn't, I mean, it's funny you say that, right?
Yeah.
So like in many cultures, there's always there's always like this idea of basically the sorry, could you pop up our comment again? I forgot it's not on YouTube.
Sure. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So right, this part right here, right? So it's interesting you say that, Emily, because in many cultures, right? So at least in Western society, we use God and Satan all the time, right? But in many other cultures, they use the depiction of the ego versus the higher self, and sometimes one of the things, and people even equate it now to government systems. The point is, there's always been like this battle, so to speak, between those who have the wisdom to lead people towards a better future and those who acquire the same wisdom but seek to twist it for their own benefit. Hence why we have, and of course, just like Hermes Trismegistus said, as above, so below. So if there is this concept of good versus evil, right? Or light and dark.
Yes.
God versus chaos, so to speak, then we can safely say there is such a thing as good actors versus bad actors. I mean, there's a reason. There's a reason why we have figures like Jesus, Krishna, and Buddha, for example, were there throughout their whole lives.
Horus, yes.
Horus. Who else? Forgot this. Is the Greeks have their
Mithra.
variant too. Yeah, no, but the Greeks have their variant. Yeah, but what's the Jesus equivalent person of the Greeks? I forgot his name. God damn it!
Well, it's Apollo, actually.
No, not Apollo. No, like there was a human being that, like, we're talking like a century or two after Jesus died. There was this individual, or I think it was like a couple decades after Jesus died in the historical timeline. There's a real man that existed that exhibited qualities very similar to Jesus, but he was born in Greece and he traveled actually to the Far East and did acts similar to those of Jesus, but he simply used his teachings from his homeland and went to Egypt and East Asia as well, and did the same journey and then returned. I just cannot remember his name for the life of me.
I mean, just to piggyback off Emily's comment, one of the things that people never really understood about the power of Christianity was Christianity is also part of a religion that came out after a rebellion against Rome.
Yes.
And they rebelled against Judaism as well. That's what created all of the big arguments we have, probably most of the big arguments, right? So the Christian world saw that the Jewish world was I'm not going to get too stereotypical, but the actual rebellion that caused Christianity was a whole group of people that basically rebelled, and they took the name Christos, meaning the light or the children of the light, and that became known as the Christian way.
Yeah, and one more thing, because I'm so sorry. I will say this and I will shut up because I really want you to keep.
You are not sorry. Stop pretending you are something which you are not.
Look, Coach, you're cooking, and I gotta let you continue cooking. Okay, otherwise a plate will get thrown on my head for making people wait. But
so good,
you know, Emily did say an interesting comment, right? It's the last one she said. She said, "In my heart, I believe it though they mocked God and they lost power, and the only light shining was that around the church on a hill, glowing brightly, right? So, and
Le Sacré-Cœur
yeah,
à Montmartre.
oh,
Look at you got there.
That's the statue of that's no, that's a statue of Baphomet, which is oh Lord, yeah. But I will say this, right? So with that, it's interesting you say that, because I feel like people don't seem to understand this, right? So there's like these teachings that's even in Christianity that make it clear, like, hey, if you want people to love you in the same equal manner, if you want people to treat you better, you gotta treat them how you would love yourself. But the only way you can do that is if you learn to love and appreciate yourself as who you are, because the idea is, at least in all religions I've studied, is that we are the essence of the Creator made into human form. So if you constantly mock the Creator, then by that same
You're mocking
logic,
yourself.
you are mocking
basically.
yourself in such a terrible way that you're basically
Yes.
just self-deprecating
refusing-
yourself in a depressing manner.
yes.
So it's no surprise. And then on top of that, if we go further and we say, okay, well, human beings are a direct, or like not the physical body, but the soul, okay? Like the human soul is like a fractal reflection of God consciousness, the Creator,
Yes.
God, whatever you want to call it, right? If that is the reflection, well, then everybody else that was made around you is supposed to reflect back on you. So if you mock yourself, then the other reflections, either knowing or unknowingly, will go after your ass and criticize
Yes,
you
of course.
for your self-mockery, because by mocking them, you're mocking yourself, hence mocking all of creation for the fact that you decided to do depraved acts.
And you're-
The only thing they do is just degrade
You're
you into an
refusing
asshole.
the very right. You're refusing the very reason you are alive. Right. You
sorry.
kind of you.
There's a kitty. There's a kitty. I'm sorry. Please zoom in on the kitty. Please zoom in on the kitty. I
Don't
need to see the
worry.
kitty. Furball. Oh, precious furball. I'm sorry. I am weak to fluffy
Or-
animals.
Wait,
Oh,
can I? No. Okay.
Oh.
So let me show you
Yeah, go for
where this is taking us today. When they founded, like when the early socialists, they came out right of the out of the French Revolution, the creation of the industrial urban society. People started to work in these steel mills and these wool mills and these cotton mills and all that stuff. And these political groups created also these shadow organizations like the Grand Orient de France. When that happened back then, it was to think about certain impulses they should give to society, and especially the Germans and the French people. Germany, out of their Sturm und Drang, right? Schiller and Kant and Goethe, all these people standing up, and Hegel, of course, and of creating these new paradigms, these new dogmas, that we are not depending from the church or from the king anymore, that now we can think for ourselves, that now we can print books and distribute them, we can print newspapers, we can spread information, all that stuff back then, whether that was Pierre-Joseph Proudhon or Piotr Kropotkin, or later the real author of the anarchistic catechism, if you want to call it so. There is like this huge volume of writings that Bakunin, who's the real ideator of anarchy, right? All these people that they try to contribute in a philosophical way to this society. But the thing here was this: we know Marx, right, and what his idea was. In the beginning, he was also you could say a Hegelist, right? He was believing in what Hegel was saying, and they just wanted to create this new way of living together in a society, making money, provide for everyone, and finally kind of raising the standard of quality. So initially there was nothing really bad about it, right? Proudhon, he would call himself someone who was kind of he looked at society and said, we need to be social with each other. We need solidarity. Anarchy doesn't mean that there is no type of order. It just means that there is no, let's say, no property, right? The Jacobins kind of said, right, there is no property. Property is stealing. You're stealing from somewhere. There is no democracy because democracy is the tyranny of majority. There is no huge industry. It's just producing what we need and nothing else. So these thoughts in the beginning were quite naive and also playful. But over time, with an organization like the Grand Orient de France, they also saw the opportunity to detach themselves from England and to kind of, claim their own space in the geopolitical landscape. And so people like Kropotkin and Bakunin, they got very attracted to Paris and what was happening there. And Montmartre, I talked about this yesterday, was, looking at this like late 19th century, Montmartre was a center to arts, to artists from all over the world. We had Dali, we had Scott Fitzgerald, we had Hemingway, we had Picasso, we had Mondriani, all these people flocking into Montmartre, Le Sacré-Cœur, right? The church on top of that hill, the only church that was shining during the power outage. So it was a center for politics, for workers, for laborers, for philosophers, for arts, for all of that stuff. So till then, nothing really kind of nefarious or evil. And I just want to jump into the lives of these three creators of that cult just really quickly to kind of understand where they're coming from. So Pierre-Joseph Proudhon, like I said, he was a very poor guy, and he grew up in these very humble, surroundings, and then he immediately caught fire with politics. And even though he was an anarchist, and like I said, in France, there was nothing bad about it inherently. France was a very atheistic, not really like church, even though we have in the south of France, we have beautiful churches in Paris as well, Gothic churches in Reims, Strasbourg, Notre Dame, and also in the Languedoc region. But never forget, the French people, the first crusade was against their own people, against the Cathars, against the Merowingers fighting the Carolingers, and all these succession wars about who had the birthright of David and of Jesus and all that. So there was a lot of political confusion, and there was no problem in saying, hey, I believe in anarchy. I believe in a government without democracy, without the majority dictating, just by socializing everything and kind of forming an equal bond of people contributing to the overall wealth of the nation. The only time he got thrown in jail when he tried to create a bank, of course, in 1849, an interestless bank that was giving credit to people without kind of receiving interest, and thereby trying to avoid the central bank system in France. And even back then in 1849, that was considered a sin. That was considered a crime. And so they threw him in jail for 3 years. And mind you, 1849 is just 1 year after the German Revolution in the eastern parts, right? Eisenach, that's in Saxony, and where they stormed the fortress of steel. That's the Eisenburg. That's the translation of it. And there were also student groups and philosophical groups as well. So we see this blueprint that philosophical groups, influencers from politics, from the universities, from the students and the workers, were influencing politics on a higher levels. In Russia, we had something completely different. We had Bakunin, who was a rich guy. He came out of an aristocratic family. He was actually a cousin to the Tsar, and he was really believing in this collective anarchy principle that everybody should always fight for the individual freedom and not listening to any type of government. And he was very much attracted by German idealism of Kant, of Fichte, and he was also, like Marx, a lover of Hegel. Even though there are two variants of how you can interpret Hegel, there is a left variant, a bit more gentle, I would say, and there's a right-leaning Hegel interpretation, which is a bit more aggressive. And he was more on the right side of things. Marx was more on the left side of things. But nonetheless, both, on very extreme polarized systems, still believing at the same cause, right? And so Bakunin was traveling a lot to Germany. He actually he took part in the German Revolution, because not only was he a math genius, and I think also a doctor in mathematics. He was also an officer in artillery. So he went out to Dresden and he fought with these students 1848. He was on the front line, and afterwards he was captured and kind of brought back to Russia, and then he was jailed and incarcerated in the Peter and Paul jail in St. Petersburg, which is really it's like the Bastille. You could say that this is also like a political prisoner in Russia, like the Bastille was in Paris. And after that, they he then by writing to the Tsar, sometimes they would actually pardon him, then it would bring him back into jail. Then sometimes they tried to kill him, then they said what, and then at the end they sent him into the Siberian exile and lifelong exile, which meant it was the predecessor of Stalin's Gulag system, right? Basically concentration camps in the eastern part of Russia where no one was looking, where it was really cold, right? And
really
and where
cold
nobody
and
would
definitely not killing anybody. No, we just
No!
we are giving you
It's all-
free labor
It's
only.
very good.
They are not in prison. They decided to willingly follow and do this for free. Of course, they were just trying to be good patriots.
It's just no
Minority
don't worry,
Jew?
it's all
Oh, no,
fine.
don't worry about that. No.
Don't worry. And
You
so
guys-
Bakunin is yes, please. Oh, go ahead. I thought you want to
okay,
say
Davi.
something. No, okay.
Oh, I
It's
thought you
okay,
were gonna say-
David.
yeah, okay.
No,
So
I was-
Bakunin, no, sorry.
What?
What?
said he's crazy. Don't worry.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Oh,
I am so sorry.
Oh, wait.
Oh my god.
thank you.
Keep on
Keep on
growing,
growing.
keep on going, and together we'll go far as a rising
as
star.
rising star.
Yeah, I heard that so many goddamn times. I'm able to mimic
Oh
it perfectly.
man, I think I sometimes dream of it. It's crazy.
Oh god. Not dream of it. That's already fucked up. But yeah, it's true.
That's really
God.
fun. I know. The other Russian guy who is in our first trinity of the creation of the anarchy cult or anarchy movement, how you want to call it, is a guy called Pyotr Kropotkin. He was more like a communist in his belief system, right? But he truly believed in anarchy. He was against Lenin, and he wasn't really kind of feeling the Lenin vibe and everything that he was portraying, because Bolshevikism and everything that came out of that to him that was too much of a ruling class. So he wanted also like a reign of communism that was based on the freedom of every principle, an individual without an overarching central type of dictatorship. Very complicated structures, political structures. Everyone believed in in something slightly different. They were all philosophers, all coming from these philosophical schools, all these think tanks in St. Petersburg, in Germany, in Berlin, in Paris, and they were all coming together. And the Grand Orient de France was somehow like a big melting pot for all these different radical extremist political ideas. And they all agreed on something, whether it was Marx, even though he was a Jew, whether it was Bakunin or Kropotkin or Proudhon, they all didn't like the Jews that much because they believed that the Jews were representing the capital, money, banking system. And so therefore, to them, the Jews were somehow also enemies. And you can find a lot of their writings, which you would nowadays call anti-Semitic writings. But in the end, they were just, children of their time. I'm not trying to downgrade what they said. It's just, again, guys, these were extremists, were fanatical thinkers. They were coming of a highly inflammatory, it was like a melting pot of political ideas who were coming out of that system of kings and empires and church ruling over everything. And so this new catalyst of freeing yourself from all these shackles, creating political parties, all that, of course, the expressions that they used back in the days were absolutely extreme. Was it because they were racist? I doubt that. It was just more kind of finding the enemy and fighting against it in order to, let people understand what they were fighting against. And the Jews just represented capital, money, banking system. For them, this was their natural enemy. But not because they were racist, it's just because of their political ideology. Just to kind of, get that out.
Yeah, like where it goes wrong is like in this day and age, people don't learn history, so they don't know how to like debate things. So everything that suddenly says, oh well, they hated a group of people for this, not right.
Yeah.
They just label it in one way without actually knowing, okay, well, there's a reason why they felt certain ways. There's a reason why people were treated certain ways. But I think it's down to people just not learning history or wanting to learn history.
Yeah.
Also, to just really quick, the reason why Paris grew so much is because Paris, of course, being 1777 and the Grand Orient de France was, of course, they masterminded the French Revolution. If you look at General Lafayette and all these people, they were all part of this Freemasonry group, right? And so they wanted to, overthrow the king and to kind of create this new republic. And the Jacobins, they were just waiting, Danton, Robespierre, they were just waiting to kind of take over the country. And since France and Haiti, to be honest, right, were the first two countries to liberate themselves from the shackles of this, what was perceived as an oppression from this authoritarian force, which was the king back then. And the king was installed by the church, so automatically king and church had to go. And so therefore everybody was kind of flocking into Paris, right? Berlin as well, but it was more Paris because the French Revolution was really bloody. They killed hundreds and thousands of people. Almost nobody got killed in Germany. It was a very quiet revolution. And then in St. Paul's Cathedral in Frankfurt, they kind of wrote the new constitution. And that was pretty much it. Nothing really major happened. So everybody, especially the more extremists of all these philosophers and radical new political thinkers, that were all attracted by Paris. And so therefore, the Grand Orient de France kind of gained massive power and stood as an antagonist to the London Society of Freemasons, which was more a Christian mystic, mystery school, and a group that was more looking at the own development. The Grand Orient de France being also Protestants partially and being way more materialistically driven and kind of, intention of changing society, they were looking more at the exterior world. And so it was natural for these different people like Marx, like Proudhon, like Bakunin and others to meet there and to kind of, start their own political revolution from the capital of France. Now, Proudhon was also the French guy who was incarcerated because he founded a bank that was lending out money without any interest, and he was in jail for 3 years because of that. That tells us also a lot about our law system, right? He was backed up by George Bernard Shaw, the socialist from the Fabian Society. And also the Italian socialists, of course, that were growing in numbers, were flocking into Paris. And a guy called Giuseppe Fanelli in 1861 was the one who actually designed the famous Anarchy logo, which we can find pretty much everywhere now around the world, and also Antifa groups using it. And before we jump into kind of explaining what this logo actually means, because a lot of people say, well, it's an A, it's just anarchy and a circle, it doesn't mean nothing special. What is your thought on this? What is the thought on this, fertile political soil that was, broiling in that time?
Go ahead. You go first, Dobby.
Sure, just pick on me first. Okay.
I mean, I want the people to hear you more, good sir.
Yes, we need your voice.
It's what Paris has always stood for: freedom and expression of thought, politics, commerce, talking, the idea that ideas can be thrown around. So you have this incredible time period in which the foundations for even anarchy today, the idea of people rebelling against the system, was set into stone. because people they saw flaws with an older system. They wanted to recreate the system. They also wanted to recreate this idea of how we get along with each other, as well as being under the rule of law. So it's kind of melting pot of ideas. It's how America should have been, but never actually got.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like how America should have been the rebirth of Atlantis? Yeah. That
kind of, the shining city on top of the hill.
Yeah. No, yeah, that because funny enough, the Templars were obsessed with that before all these other secret societies were. So it's funny you say that, because the Templars, there's always this belief that the reason the Templars went to the Americas to begin with is because they were slowly transporting whatever knowledge they could steal away from these cults, and mostly from the Catholics who wanted to kill them, in order to like reestablish the new Atlantis. And I told this to Coach in the last stream that we had 2 weeks ago, where I said, oh yeah, it's interesting of the fact that there was a literal Templar Grandmaster with his officer that has a show on Gaia TV, funny enough. And the guy talked about the fact that at the time, the Templars supposedly used Portugal as their way of traveling over to the Americas in secret, and that they taught the natives at the time a secret handshake, which is basically the formal handshake that we do these days in business. Yeah. And it was like the one with especially your index finger, like Coach showed just now. And it had to be, specifically it had to be the index finger pointing out, very pronounced. And so like when you go shake the hand, the idea would be like your index finger would be more stretched out than usual, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like the index finger, like the rest of your fingers, are wrapping around the other person's fingers as you're handshaking them. It's more like the index finger is more pronounced, right? The secret handshake anyway, so that the natives would know when, at the time, they considered them gods because, well, they were white. But it's not because of what you think. There is actual.
I mean, this is like, look at us.
Oh, God.
We must be gods.
You're such a racist. You're like Ryan. I'm like, no, God, no. But
The other thing with the Templars is, right, they knew full well that the Pope was out to get them, because they just got too. The Pope was paranoid that right the way through the history of the Templars, this is a paranoid Pope that sent his own people to die. And then we have the racial slur, which is the name for Baphomet, which actually means it's a slur that is meant to really be insulting to the Islamic faith. So the Templars, that's the name that they used to insult the Muslims that they were fighting, but they were never actually worshipping it. But again, the Pope was like, oh my gosh, they've got too much money.
The Templars were looking into everything. They were dabbling into every religion. They were esoteric people. And this is how Switzerland was also created, right? This Calvinistic idea that you are tolerant to get. But they were not really worshipping the Baphomet. I mean, they were using whatever method in order to gain control, in order to make friendship, in order to... Look at him.
I got two.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's funny enough.
I got a nice drawing from him also today. I want to present.
Yeah. Oh, and the whole like Baphomet statue too. Like people don't seem to understand, but like,
it's a teaching tool.
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah. I mean,
that here I'll demonstrate.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Please show the audience.
Alchemy, what we teach is as above. So like you would have. So Baphomet, or the actual statue, is this: I am the way, meaning as above. Your hand goes here, so below.
Yeah.
The pentagram is the alchemical form of earth, air, water, fire. The wings are meant to represent the wings of knowledge and spreading knowledge around. The reason why he's seated on the throne is the seat of grounding, and the flames are the flames of wisdom. The goat head was to connect us to the animal kingdom, and the physical body was the human kingdom. So that's all it kind of meant.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, the ignorant bastards are like, heresy! But in real life, yeah, it's basically what No, it's basically what Dobby
It's a
said.
Prometheus type of,
Yeah.
yes.
It's basically just one of the many hermetic representations of man's connection to both the divine and the material and spiritual is probably a better definition. Okay, so like the fire, the fire represents the earthly material plane, while the wings are mostly represent the spiritual side. Okay, and the goat head, of course, it represent. Yeah, true. It could be Ryan for all we fucking know. Ryan might be an ancient being, eldritch being that's pretending to fuck around with people, and then one day he'll show his cards like some
Ryan
anime
is
villain.
the perfect crossbreeding of Jabba the Hutt and the Bufferman. Is it that's Ryan, right? When Jabba and Buffer come together, you get Ryan.
Oh my
So-
god.
This is the result. This is the result we get. So the Hito Mapa that I've been crossbreeder with Buffer. yes, that's you.
Oh my god.
So the good Giuseppe Fanelli, an Italian artist who met Bakunin, who just came back from his little trip in Siberia, to be more precise, in Irkutsk. And funny enough, if you go to Siberia, to this place called Irkutsk, there is a group of people, they call themselves the Decembrians, and they created a new political system that's called Decembrism. And so what it means, that's the religion of December, or it's the cult of December. And it is highly connected also to shamanism. Actually, the roots of shamanism, they lie in Siberia. The oldest reports, the oldest drawings that we can find of of shaman practices on the eastern part of our globe, they are coming from Siberia. And he also got in contact with the lores of the lamas. And we talked about Alexandre Saint-Yves and the quest to Agartha, because there was the crown of the Chitamuri, which the lamas believed to be the ascended master of Moria, living in the inner kingdom, wearing the crown of Chitamuri. And the stone of Chitamuri is now in the United Nations building. So this shamanism, Decembrism, Lamaism cult that Bakunin kind of encountered during his exile in Siberia, all this knowledge about the ascended master and the inner earth and all this stuff, he brought to Giuseppe Fanelli, and he said, we need to create this anarchy cult, right? Where there is no God, there is no church, there is no government, there is this freedom of individual expression on all levels. And Giuseppe said, sure, I'm an Italiano, I can do that, allora. And so he...
Italiano, what are you doing?
I can draw this. Let's do this. And Giuseppe, drew the famous anarchy symbol, which is the A and the O. And a lot of people, if you ask them, like even if you go to Antifa people who are in the militant groups, and you ask them, do you know where your logo actually comes from? Who drew that? What the meaning is? They said, oh, it's just us. It's just anarchy. It's just a big A. And it's like, no, that's actually not true. So the big A that is placed on top of the circle of the letter O, of course, is Alpha and Omega. It's the beginning in the end. So even though these people claim that they don't, they will want to abolish the church and there should be no religion, anything else, they are taking their logo from the Apocalypse, from Revelation, from John, right? And Alpha and Omega is the beginning and the end. That's Jesus and God. God is Theo or Thea, which is the circle, which is actually the woman. It's the womb. It's never ending, never beginning. It's always infinite. That's God. It's the unmovable mover of everything. And Alpha, that's his first son. That's the first seed. That's the first shoot. That's Jesus. So A and O means Jesus and God. And that symbol, that anarchy symbol, was then also translated for the Spanish labor union, which were the first people to adopt it. and the First International Workers Union, the Socialist Anarchy Union, they all adopted the symbol right away. And you see here, you see basically what the transmutation and the, we have the Greek symbol of the church, the Pax symbol and everything. This is where they actually got this from. So even though they claim, no, it's not about church, it's not about faith, it's not about belief system, they are using highly occult symbols right from the start to explain what this new political movement like, and what's its intention at its core, what's its spiritual intention actually is. So again, anarchy means order without government, without God, without church, and without politics, right? But they're using highly religious, spiritual, and occult symbols in order to explain that, which is truly interesting. Again, Bakunin was also a Freemason. He was initiated in the Grand Orient de France. He was initiated in the Memphis Mizraim cult in Italy. He was initiated in many different Freemason lodges. And I want to just read out something to you and then show you something just to make you understand how highly occult this whole idea of anarchy actually was. So I found the Revolutionary Catechism of Mikhail Bakunin on the internet. And already the word catechism, right? He called it Revolutionary Catechism. So catechism in itself means religious book. It's a religious initiation. And if you think about the idea of Marx, of Lenin, of all the other beautiful communists all around the globe, what did they believe in? They ultimately believe in a dystopian workers' paradise. So they themselves kind of injected this faith in and this belief of this, paradise on planet Earth that could be achievable if all workers come together. Why the workers? What they had in mind, and we will explain in a couple of seconds. So just let's read this really quick, and then I show you something. The general principles of anarchy. The denial of existence of a real, extra-worldly personal God, and consequently also of any revelation and divine intervention in the affairs of the world and of humanity. Abolition of the service and worship of divinity, of the divinity. That's his first statement. We need to abolish God. Remember what Mao said? Religion is opium for people. It's like an opiate. It's a drug for people. We need to abolish that drug. So Mao was of that same intention. Second sentence of the revolution, right? Replacing the worship of God with respect and love for humanity. We affirm human reason as the sole criterion of truth, human conscience as the basis of justice, and individual and collective freedom as the sole creator of the order of humanity.
Well, they were.
When I read this,
they were cooking. I don't know, but somewhere along the way, they fucked up the recipe. I'm just saying.
Can you smell what the anarchists are cooking?
Yeah. Oh man, no, I find that very fascinating that they say that, because it's what they're saying is nothing new. Other groups have said the exact same statement with slightly different words, and probably gone into more detail, but at the same time they didn't exactly try to suppress people and threaten them with literal death if they didn't agree. Like, that's not, a lot of these groups don't seem to understand, like, change does not happen suddenly, at least with humans. It happens progressively, and it takes quite a long time, especially if we're talking about something as fundamental as religion, which you can understand for thousands of years, human beings have always connected religion with spirituality, when most likely a long time ago, Lord knows how long it's been, but long time ago, the idea of deities or temples with statues of deities was done as a way to reflect what the society of the time understood, which is basically the concept of as above, so below. Okay, and the idea is that by looking at the statue of a goddess that maybe represent a god or goddess that represented a specific human trait or sets of traits, both good and bad, right? That it would help that individual with that understanding to see the fact that just as the divine is amazing, it does have its issues, but it can work them out. And just like that, the statue is reminding you of the fact that you're the same. You're awesome, but if you fuck up, just try to fix it. It's not that hard. It's just people overcomplicate shit sometimes. I know there's complexities to certain things, but
Sure.
at the same time,
Absolutely.
People
Complexity is also a
overcomplicate too
good
much.
thing.
Yeah.
This is, by the way, no endorsement of Satan and all is its disciple.
Yeah, we're
This
not.
show is just here to kind of
Church of Satan
to demonstrate
please do not
the
send
political
Coach an
and
endorsement email. Okay, like we're
of the Church
we're
of
not
Satan
try-
or anything like that.
Oh, do you if you
So
receive
when-
an email
when-
from them, please do it so we can make fun of them. Oh my god, these motherfuckers!
I make fun of the
So
churches
here,
all the time.
Like, if you want to just
No,
admit
it's-
you're a sex cult that's upset, that's like, look, okay, look. For anyone
okay.
that's out there of the
All
Church
right.
of Satan, like, look, man.
just give me it. No.
Look, real quick.
No,
like, I look, guys, believe what you want to believe, but like, if most of the people in Church Satan, from what I've seen, they're
bunch
like
of
people.
drunken dickheads.
Yeah, but yeah, they're just people that want to be like that want to embrace their assholery to the maximum. Like, if you want
It's
to do
materialism, right?
that, yeah. Like, if you want to express materialism, go right on ahead. Live your life carefree.
Yeah, live your life.
Yeah, but like at the same time, like, stop using that belief as an excuse for the fact that you just like to do threesomes and BDSM
Ew.
and some weird shit. Okay, or that you're
Right.
secretly in the closet but you're pretending not to be because you're saying, "Oh, it's a religious ceremony." Like, stop it! Stop it! Get some help! Like, for fuck's sake, just admit
help.
that you're into that shit. Move on with your life, okay? Because at the end of the day, the light bringer is not again. Oh God, I'm not even gonna get into that, but.
No, it's okay. Let's not too really too right.
No,
Really
go
quick.
on
No,
ahead.
because I
We're
want to
not
make a
trying to-
point really right. This thing is that
If you want to endorse
when I
this,
read
please
the
send email
first
to
general
COACHMC Studio.
Welcome to hell.com. What can I do to you? Yes, lovely. All
Is
the
that
French
the
people go on the
reception?
left. All yes, this is the reception, right?
Hell
you're
has an
French.
Indian call center?
Oh, you go down. You
What
go
if I
down,
become
bitch.
a
Yes, you go
consultant?
down.
I
Where the
see.
Jamaicans at? No Jamaicans in hell. Oh, Rastafarian cult. I hate
God.
Rastafarian cult. They never send
Someone's gonna
someone
clip
down
this
here.
shit.
Never send down.
If somebody
Right.
clips this
So,
and,
when I-
and adds the Church of Satan on Twitter,
Jamaican
we're gonna
daggers.
blow up.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
It's like there is a brilliant sketch of Rowan Atkinson as he's like the
Yeah.
general desk operator at the reception in hell, and he's like, "All right, come in. Where are the pedophiles? Ah, I know you guys. Yeah, you're standing next to the French. Okay, yes, I stand
Not
there.
the French.
No, here's the thing. It's like this. What can I say? When I read Bakunin's
to hell.
first
How can I help
principle,
you?
that the first right.
You guys
No,
agree?
seriously, I was really stunned about the fact that the first thing that he mentions is, to get rid of God. So he has this huge political pamphlet. He's a philosopher. He read Hegel. He read Fichte. He read Feuerbach. He read all these incredible guys. He was in cahoots. Well, he wasn't really in cahoots with Marx. There were certain times where he and Marx would actually argue and fight. They would hate each other, and then there's certain times they would actually love each other. It's really weird. He was also part of the first International Worker Association. It was founded in London. Funny enough, Marx was present that day. On that occasion, I think it was 1861. They loved each other. On other occasions, they kind of departed from each other. But nonetheless, Bakunin was. Like, he had a huge brain. Like I said, he was in the army, was great with math. He was a philosopher, great knowledge, studying all these humanitarian new writings and all that stuff. So to me, it was kind of weird that he was mentioning God as the first thing. And also the way he described the denial of existence of a real extraworldly personal God, and consequently also of any revelation and any divine intervention in the affairs of the world and of humanity. And then the second thing was even more interesting. He stated that, and this is why I'm having this drawing here, because I think this is what he really means and what it actually kind of represents when he writes that replacing the worship of God. So I substitute God with respect and love for humanity. As if that if I'm worshiping God, I don't have respect for love and humanity. So we affirm human reason. This is how he goes on. Human reason as the sole criterion of truth. Now, when I read this, it's like, wait a second. This isn't an initiation. This isn't just a revolutionary cataclysm for, wannabe anarchist. This is an initiation rite, because this represents exactly the initiation of the first grade into a Masonic lodge. Whether you are an atheist, a humanitarian belonging to the Grand Temple d'Orient de France, or you're belonging to the UGLE, to the Unified Grand Lodge of England. What happens in the initiation of the first degree? If you are a neophyte, if you're an adept, and you're trying to enter Freemason Lodge and you get accepted, the initiation rite looks pretty much like this. There is a master of the lodge, or the master of the chair, or the master of the throne, or the master of the rock, which is the illuminated one. He sits in the east. And this master of the chair, he represents freedom. Then in the West, opposite of the master of the lodge or master of the chair, usually there are two officiants, like two ritual officers that will introduce the neophyte who stands in the north, which in Freemason language and code means death. So they take him out of the north, out of the death region, and they bring it from west to east. This is how you initiate someone into a Freemason lodge. And so what they tell you there is that the first officer, he's there for reason. He represents égalité. And you see here, this is a building tool that Freemasons were using, back in the 13th, 14th, and 15th century to build their Gothic cathedral, allegedly. And the second officer, he is the one that represents the brotherhood. That means your conscience. So that's exactly what Bakunin is telling us. Replacing the worship of God with respect and love for humanity, we affirm human reason. That's the guy here, égalité, the first officer. And we affirm reason as the sole criterion of truth, because he's giving us the guidance to go to the master of the lodge and to the east where the sun is rising. This is the truth. And human conscience, which is fraternité. So we have liberté, fraternité, and égalité, which are the Jacobin and of course French Revolution and Grand Temple d'Orient, guideposts for not only the revolution, but also for their own Masonic rituals. So what he was describing in his revolutionary catechism is a huge initiation of everyone who wanted to join the club. Now, let's take this even further. In the Scottish rectified rite, everything that is not the Grand Orient de France, when we're talking about Freemasons, it's about improving your spirit. You want to work on your spiritual essence. You want to become an ascended master. They take you out of death. They take way that, our Washington, the White House is pointing towards north, which is contrary to the blueprint of Les Enfants, another Freemason who designed the blueprint of Washington, D.C., and he wanted the White House to face east, of course, and they changed it. The Freemasons of America changed it to face north, which is actually a contradiction to their own lore. But in general, it's like this. The spiritual awakening of the Freemasons happens through the initiation, bringing the neophyte, the adept, from the north, and then taking him from west to east. That means that once he died, he falls, he comes into darkness, and the two officers will help him to rise, to bring him to the master of the lodge. And through that work, because the rectified Scottish rite of Freemasonry believes in God, believes in the mystical lores of Christianity. Through that, you will rise through the 32 stages back to God. So it's an inner development. It's an inner spiritual development. The only problem is that Anarchy, Bakunin, and everybody else, they were atheists. So they were not believing in God. They wanted to abolish the church. So you can work on yourself. There is no inner world working here. There is no spiritual world working.
Yeah.
So in which world should you work then? On the exterior world. So
Yeah,
the Grand Temple d'Orient,
Ooh. Wait, can I say something real quick?
their mission was to... No, absolutely.
No, really quick, because like
Hold it,
I want you to keep cooking on this. This is very good. But one thing I always thought interesting is like you got all these movements that are like, oh no, we just want to destroy like the system of oppressive religion and bring forth true freedom. But the thing is, like when you actually look into these groups, they're always the types that are super depressed. They always are heavily biased instead of looking at things from an objective view. And also right there in that picture says no God, no church, no politics, right? Well, here's the thing. Human beings need something to tether themselves to the spiritual. Okay, maybe it doesn't have to be like God in the sense of Christianity or Hinduism, okay? Maybe they have to tether themselves to the divine because it's just a natural thing that occurs, okay? You can't oh goodness. You cannot have ice without water, okay? All right? I mean, just saying. Yeah, you cannot
we should
ice
have
without
like
water.
a PayPal account for all these phrases, and then at the end of the year we'll be rich, right? If we all
Yeah,
these.
I mean, yeah, I know nobody has ever said that before, but for real, you can't have ice without water. So you can't have somebody that is spiritually sound without having some kind of connection to divine. Again, as I said earlier in the stream, there is a reason why deities existed for a long time in ancient history, especially the ancient Greeks. Yes, some of them worshiped them fervently. There were always those who were very zealous about it, but throughout most of ancient Greece, most of the people there saw the gods as something to be respected, but also something to work as a way of self-reflection, to better improve themselves and to have that spiritual
Of course, there
that
were
they desperately
principles.
needed. In order to become,
Yes.
at the end of the day, the goal of most ancient Greeks at the time, which is to become a balanced man that listens to both, or woman, individual, that listens to both their logic, but also their spiritual emotions, but always make sure that one doesn't overwhelm the other at any point. You need to be tethered to the spiritual in one way or another, or otherwise you'll become an unstable being. That is why we have all these crazy motherfuckers out here in pop culture and in the Olympics and other areas of life that are just trying to enact change with no plans because they have no idea how to direct their own lives, because they have nothing to tether them, no guidance, no nothing. And then at the same time, they want to destroy the government structure. Here's the thing. That will never happen. Human beings are always obsessed with, for the longest time, in being in groups. That's how we grow. That's how we thrive. The only thing I can say is, okay, maybe a serious revamp of the systems is needed. But total destruction is not the answer. That leads to chaos, okay, which is not good for anyone and can potentially lead to the end of the human race. Because let me tell you something, humanity has survived natural catastrophes for the longest time, okay?
We
Because
will
there
always
isn't-
survive natural
but
catastrophes.
You know why? But you know why,
Yes.
Coach? Here's why. Because there's an order to things, even in nature. Before a natural catastrophe
Yes.
happens, the
Right.
Earth itself gives you warning signs by drastic changes in the
Yes.
weather and experts who study it, okay, both in current
Yes.
day and in the past. People were able to tell the changes to the earth because guess what? As human beings, we are tethered to both not only the spiritual but to the earth that we originate from. Hence, we can sense, if we bother to even tap into it, when something is wrong or eventually will be wrong and will happen. Hence why, after every single catastrophe that people survive, the few that bother to listen are usually the ones that keep the human race going. Okay? So again, we cannot sever spirituality or the sense of organized structure society, because then that would lead to just chaos and destruction, like pointless chaos and destruction. And also the fact of no church. Let me put it this way, whether you like it or not, people have different ways of expressing their spiritual connections. And some people have this innate gift to visualize, all right, or use their godly abilities. By godly, I mean God-given gifts, as Christians call it, but use the divine abilities that they have to literally create from nothing. From nothing came an idea, and from the idea came the structure that reflects the intense desire, okay, of that person to express their respect and love for not only the spiritual, but also for the earth that provided the ability for man to create something. You cannot sever those three things. If you do, again, pointless chaos and destruction. That is something that must not be allowed. That is what all these people, crazy people, want, because they are completely lost. They need to be led back into the light. Because let me put it this way, all right? The other way around is literally just wandering around in the darkness until it swallows you completely in, and you have to restart all over again.
Yeah.
That's not, and that just makes, at the end of the day, I mean, everyone's on their journey, okay? That's all how it is.
Yeah,
but,
never leave the program pad, otherwise you miss the tangents. I mean, that's the problem.
No, but like, for real, it's like, look,
Yeah,
everyone has their own path. Everyone has their own path to take.
Dragon.
Thank you, sirs. I know, but everyone has their own journey to make, okay? And we don't know what the fuck the road is, because that's just how that's how the game's been set up. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fun. All right, it's like playing real life Dark Souls, okay? Except
No,
you don't
absolutely.
have good innate combat skills.
I think also the problem that nowadays people have is, of course, that the focus is not there. They get distracted, they get confused, their thoughts get invaded.
But there's so many distractions everywhere,
infested.
dude.
Yes, but the thing is,
But
when
also, people
you
don't know how to separate from the distractions. You're right.
No, that's true. That's the problem. Like back in the days, of course, they had distractions as well, but they were just taught and educated in a way to detach themselves from whatever worldly task at hand.
But
they were
not
kind
as
of
many
saying, no.
distractions, by the way, Coach. You got give. So you get one thing.
No, not as many. That's true.
Yeah.
That's
we
true.
gotta add
No,
some context
absolutely.
here. Unlike the last couple thousands of years, this period specifically, there is considerably more huge distractions that are occurring every single second of the day. Like, if you may have even heard just now, my phone did a notification sound. Now, if I've been the type of person, because I was raised during the time period when smartphones were becoming a thing and people were trying them out constantly, right? I'm not like a Gen Zer. Huh?
Nothing.
What? Okay. Well, but yeah.
No, there are some good distractions as well. There is positive procrastination.
Exactly.
I mean,
I
useful. Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? There is a difference between, I forget who said this, okay? But there is a difference between doing nothing in order to lead to productivity and just doing nothing for the sake of doing nothing because you have no idea what you want to do. And so for distractions in general, yes, I do agree that that there are good distractions and bad distractions. The problem is in our
I would say
current
there
age-
is positive procrastination.
Well, yeah.
Distraction in itself is not
Yeah,
necessarily something, but there is a way of
positive
okay,
bonus
I
events.
relax.
Let's call them that way, okay? Let's
Yeah.
call them positive bonuses.
Like you really use that time. You say, hey, no, I wanna kind of unlock or just detach myself. I want to just chill for a second. I don't want to distract myself. I just need to kind of, calm down my mind. I'm hyper working or hyper focused on something. And now you're kind of opening up to a new sensation. And while you're maybe listening to a song, fixing yourself dinner, maybe reading another book, or just watching a stupid movie for what it's worth, maybe while you're doing that, your brain still thinks and kind of operates and incubates what you just worked on. And all of a sudden, there will be a solution popping up. There will be something is like, oh, fuck, oh, this is good. Oh, I can actually use that because you just saw something, you just heard something, or while you were cooking, your mind was finally not so hyperly focused. Your body was now occupied with something else. And now, so finally your brain would have the ability to kind of, finally digest all the stuff that you just ingested, and therefore it will spit out maybe something useful for something that you were working on previously. But let's let Darby talk for at least 30 seconds. 29, 28, 27.
The other thing with the initiations, how they used to do it would be they would deprive you of your senses. So they would have the initiate basically by themselves. They put the blindfold on. The idea is they would force you to just be focused to the point where you're 100% concentrating. Then the idea of the initiation use before they changed it was you would go through the process of death, and the Grandmaster would be like from darkness into light, and then you would have to agree that it's like the process of Masonic death. So basically, but it's kind of like
it's also and again, in the Christian mystic current of Freemasonry, this process, and of course this is not everywhere the same. If you go to Kentucky, if you go to a little, brother lodge in Kentucky, they will not think about, maybe they do. It's not to use a stereotype. I just said Kentucky to.
Yeah, these days it's just
right. Yes, I mean, usually you need to go to the big urban centers and to the really like powerful lodges, and this is where they really entertain those deep conversations, those mystical, spiritual conversations during the the worksheets when they are working on certain initiations, on certain grades. Every lodge has like topics during the year that is based on members, seasons, whatever type, right? And so not every lodge is always working hardcore on kind of renewing your spiritual essence. There are some lodges where the brothers come together, they have their ritual, and then they go out and drink a beer, which is totally fine as well, right? They're just a communal experience where they just come together. There are lodges where you have that type of very deep-seated spiritual work. In France, though, that work was not spiritual. Bakunin, Proudhon, Hegel, Marx, Moses Hess, the creator of the Zion movement, of the Zionists and all that, they were believing that there is no such thing as God. And so therefore, if you can change your inner world, then you change the exterior world, even if it's, by force. Now, what Bakunin here said, here, for example, and this is why we're getting slowly but surely to the Olympic opening ceremony, is the radical...
We're going the scenic route, so we're going. We're going to stop at this town and this town, this town.
But it's also fascinating. I love to listen to you guys and wherever we're going with our conversations. And hey, if we're not finishing this up today, maybe we do it then next Tuesday. I'm fine with that. I love to listen to you more than just getting my worksheets and my doodles through. It's about having that open dialogue and also kind of responding to the chat. So therefore, it's totally fine. We're not under stress. There is no timeline here that we need to fulfill. This is just an open conversation to look at something that.
Wait,
people continue to.
That was a quote from Total War, by the way.
So
yeah, like if you ever play like the Eastern factions in Total War, literally
we'll continue
the
tomorrow.
Yeah, they make the quote like when you can't move any further in your turn, you just go, "We continue tomorrow." It's great. Sorry, keep going. I want to hear Dobby talk more. I went
it's
on enough
okay.
tangents.
Carry on. I'll
Oh,
just-
really? Well, no, sorry. I will talk, but like I gotta wait like 10 minutes. So keep going, sir. I'll be listening.
So, general principles: abolishing of the church, no worshiping of God, getting rid of your spirituality. There is, and we just discovered that truth, human reason, and consciousness is highly linked to a Freemason type of initiation. And one of the
Like-
other principles,
we call it enlightenment. So the
call it
radiant
enlightenment.
eye, so the eye, it's believed by Masons that the radiant eye of knowledge, or like the illuminous, will illuminate your mind and bring you to a higher share of reason.
I love both your explanation. What Pat is.
This show
Brett,
a
this is how it
Tarantino
is.
Movie. 2 hours of setup, 45 minutes of crazy shit at the end. Yeah,
Yes.
right. That's how we roll.
That's our streams in a nutshell.
it's so weird. I wish you.
That's what we do. It's like now, if it's Quentin
Yeah, but you're
Tarantino,
right.
we'd have more guns. We'd like have.
What's your favorite Tarantino movie, guys? Let me know also in the chat. What is your favorite Tarantino movie? And if you want to create a fantastic movie, why don't you come over to readytoperform.com? If you're a writer, an actor, a performer, an entertainer, if you're working on your portfolio, if you want to, enter entertainment industry, or if you're a seasoned actor already who's looking to dust off his toolkit, or you're trying to insert something new and powerful into your toolbox, why don't you contact me? It's a discovery session that costs nothing except your time. You can do this virtually. We can set this up also physically. You come to my studio here in South Beach in Miami, and we will finally find out if we're a great match for each other. You tell me what your creative Polaris is, and I tell you if we can navigate together towards that shining star and achieve something magnificent together. Whether you're a public speaker, you're trying to be a team leader, you're in the hospitality business. A lot of hospitality providers and service providers are coming into the studio because there are many hotels here in Miami, many important people coming in, very
Lots
rich
of
folks
hotels.
that need to be.
Lots of hotels
Yeah.
for
And so-
tantric yoga sessions there, coach. Yes, I see what you mean. Oh, look at him doing the little dance. And by the
Whoa.
way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please like
Check out
it.
readytoperform.com.
That also, yes.
Please.
Oh, definitely check out readytoperform.com if you wanna emit that big dick energy that'll bring all the girls to you, get you that job offer, and make your boss become your bitch to every word you say. You better join readytoperform.com because believe
I
me,
love that.
that will just be a supplement to your public speaking and confidence. All right, because if you're already hitting the gym and you look like a Chad, guess what? Emit that Chad Riz too, because that's what Coach will tell you here. Okay, you'll be able to get all kinds of hoes, but you also get that opportunity to make that bread. I'm just saying. I'm just
Now
saying.
it's a word from
I should.
Brother, you're gonna go to readytoperform.com, brother, and all the minutes.
Hulk Hogan.
will roll all over you.
Oh
brother.
yeah.
Just go there, brother.
Yes.
Right now,
Yes,
I won't
Lizard.
mean it, but you're gonna go there. But, oh.
I'm telling you, brother, get ready to perform. Oh yeah.
readytoperform.com. Go now. Well, after the stream. But after the stream, go.
Yeah.
What else?
And
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
Indian and you want
absolutely.
to impress your parents with their match picks, I'm just saying, this will help too. Okay? This will make you a good, favorable marriage match. Okay? I'm just saying. If this brings
So-
you a surge of Indian clients, I'm going to laugh my butt off. I'm just saying
Guys-
right now. Oh.
You guys are crazy. That's
I
okay.
know we are. I know we are. Why do you think we created this show to begin with? We just wanted to let it all
absolutely.
out in public.
Only
You know,
crazy for yes.
like-
Yeah, finally, we can let it out.
if we're gonna talk about it, we might as well let other people just witness our insanity.
Bakunin, Propotkin,
like-
it's just
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
an
exactly.
excuse.
We'll
It's
become the SNH Dark Horse comics basically of streams. This will be
We are the
perfect.
spawns. We're the Dark
Yes.
Horse spawns
We're the
of
dark
go.
ones.
SNH.
Come to get you, Hypno.
Not the dark ones. Oh man.
So,
Continue, sir.
our good guy, our good guy Bakunin goes on, and after this little Freemasonry initiation rite that he wants to kind of hyper ledger structure everyone in his nation with it, and basically all over the world, he goes on by saying that we need to abolish the monarchy, the republic, the classes, the ranks, the privileges, and all kinds of distinctions, absolute equality of political rights for all men and women, universal suffrage, abolition,
The
dissolution,
feminists
and
won't like
moral.
that.
Yeah, I know.
Universal suffrage.
I'm sorry,
the
guys.
feminists will not like that. I'm so sorry to tell
No.
you. It's like
Wait,
Even though-
that's not me saying red pill shit. Like that's just how it's been for the last couple of years. I'm serious. They're not gonna like that. And also,
boy,
Remind you, this is 1865, right? It's like
Yeah.
highly explosive stuff today, and this was
Yes.
written 1865.
but you know,
Mm-hmm.
Rome was
The
born in like 1665. Don't worry, it's too long.
Also goes on by, of course, abolition, dissolution, and moral, political, judicial, bureaucratic, and financial bankruptcy of the tutelary, transcendent centralist state. He wants to bankrupt financially the state. What is happening today?
Yeah, so do most people.
wow. Yeah, we got a corpse
He-
that's trying to just fuck everyone over, including the country he's ruling.
That's
The
why
permanent cause of impoverishment, stupefaction, and enslavement for the peoples. As a natural consequence, abolition of all state universities, the care of public education to belong exclusively to the communes and free associations, abolition of the state magistracy, all judges to be elected by the people, abolition of the criminal and civil codes, defund the police that are currently enforced in Europe, because all of them equally inspired by the worship of God, of the state, of the religiously or politically consecrated family. What are we seeing now? The abolition of the consecrated family and of property are contrary to human law, and because the code yeah,
That
sounds
sounds
familiar,
kind
right?
of familiar. Almost like that's what's going on in America right now. Wonder why I would think that. Oh yeah, Joe Biden.
This goes on. Look at this stuff. This goes on and on. He talks about kids. He talks about that kids should only be raised by the state, even though he wants to abolish the state, which is a bit slightly contradictory. He talks about that kids should not, that parents should not have a saying in their development of the kids. That kids could, engage and entertain. Yes.
It is modern times. You know,
it is, because the
yeah.
state's trying to tell parents, oh yeah, just go and like biologically change your kids. Nah.
I mean, it's a great way of neutering them. You know, like they tried. I mean, let's be honest.
Population control.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like, the tinfoil hat
Conspiracy
man
theorist?
that. I don't want to sound like tinfoil hat man that's outside your house harassing you with a sign that says
Hey,
the end is
stop
coming.
looking through my window, pervert.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll go to your window next time. I did not know you were particular to windows. But no, but like one of the things I find interesting about all of that is, again, I said it earlier. These people are total hypocrites. They say they don't want something, but in reality they do want it, but they're going to say they don't want it so they can trick any gullible person into falling for it. Just look at current day social talks and politics too, but mostly just look at the everyday talk, dude. There are people out there that the people that are trying to promote things that will disbenefit them and everyone else are the same people that can't even fucking point out their own state on a goddamn map. Think about it.
They don't
And
even
then
know what a woman is, and they want to abolish the
Yeah.
rights of women. They don't. Democratic Party can't even explain what a woman is. But
That's what they
you know.
said. Yeah, they spent so long in their mother's basement that they don't know what women look like. That's okay.
Yeah.
We won't hold that case.
Yeah. And then you have people out there that are trying to start the stupid. There's another way of population control. I just noticed in myself after a while, right? But the whole like, oh, gender wars bullshit. Like we have culture wars, but there's also like the sub war of the gender wars, where like the people are. Yeah,
where it's like,
they're doing the doom and gloom strategy of like putting the data out saying, oh my God, by like 2030, 40% of women will be single and childless. And then with cats, yes.
But remember the cats.
Yeah, hey, look, if you're an investor, you might want to start investing in cat food and cats because you're gonna be making bank off of that inevitability. But at the same time, how does that happen, right? How does such a thing happen, right? With individuals being dissuaded into just being together, performing the most basic thing that allows the human race to exist, right? How does that even, how do you make it so people don't even bother doing it? Oh, well, it's simple. You paint out the opposite side as this big, scary monster that will eat you alive if you screw up even once, that you need to buy all these guides or do all these 200,000 different things as pre-prep. But then when you actually go and talk to an actual human being who's been influenced just like you, maybe more or less, it doesn't work out. And then all these people get super depressed. They become these nihilistic anarchists that want to bring about the end of everything because they feel like the system has betrayed them. No, the system has not betrayed you. The system has effectively used you to fulfill the purpose of the mission, which is to make sure that you cannot continue, you cannot create progeny, okay? Which means, for those of you that don't understand the word progeny, so you cannot have children, okay? So they want to make sure you don't have children. And if they... And
what is... I don't have children for 500, please.
Yeah, exactly. But for real, like, what are you expecting out of this? Like, you've been used by the system. Like, the system never betrayed you to begin with because it was never on your side. Okay? You were just a tool that was used, that they were able to use to keep away people trying to push the truth out. Right? And, actually, could you please show this comment from Brett that he just posted on the YouTube site? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Go ahead.
X from a sex ed class, and the slide on the screen was why people have sex, and have babies wasn't even on the list.
Wow.
What the fuck?
Oh, no. Here's the best part, right? But here's the best part, Dobby. When you put people out on the street, okay? And both men and women, and if you ask them, what is the purpose of sex, okay? You know what they're all going to say most of the time? Oh, well, it's fun and all, but you know what? In reality, one day I want to have kids. So that is like that's what most people. That's the answer most people give, right? And so, yeah, yes, Lizard. They are anti-life creation. Yes. They are anti-fun.
Anti-life creation. Yes,
they're the anti-fun. They're the fucking fun police. They're basically Blizzard. If Blizzard had control of every goddamn thing and tried to force you into believing their BS. Okay? Current day Blizzard.
LeBron James is because they had this video of his eyes.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
You didn't see that video? There was LeBron's eyes went really weird. There was one who was in Paris, so that explains it.
Oh, I didn't get to see it. No.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, I just pointed out the hypocrisy that this is the guy that now is the bearer of the flag of the United States, but doesn't stand up to the national anthem or doesn't, put his hand on his heart when the national anthem is played.
Rise up and make many reptilians.
All rise for the Draconic Empire. Oh god, dude.
Reptiles procreate.
Oh, this is great.
No, so for the other, because I had this discussion. I had this discussion very often, right? With anarchists, like they say no. We don't have any faith system. We are not a cult. We just want, no governments. We want just chaos. And it's like, guys, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, because the very creators of the system that you're living in, that you call anti-politic or anything else that you want to call it, or anti-fascist or anti-religion, whatever, it's a highly occult. It's a system that is based on a faith that they won't explain to you. They just give you the symbols that you need to flash on the flags, but that doesn't mean that they're not loaded with symbolism, with occult meanings, and with deeper layers of knowledge that is not immediately visible to everybody. I mean, they don't even read the Revolutionary Catechism. They don't even know what these people have actually wrote down, what their manifestos are. Because if you read them, it's clear that we're talking about initiations, that we're talking about a cult system, that we're talking about the substitution of faith with the substitution of materialism. And if you look at the logos, for example, there are many logos associated with the Anarchy movement. There is the sap cat, which of course is Bastet. It's the sex magic cat of the Egyptians. Aleister Crowley talks about this, Sekhmet. And we have sap cat means also the sabotage cat, and sabotage cat means to not work. So who does not work? It's the Shabbat that does not work. On Saturday, the Jews do not work because it's the day of Saturn. It's the sap cat. It's Bastet. So there is already a highly occult meaning behind the word sabotage. They don't want you to work because it's the respect of a religion, even though you believe you're not belonging to a religious system. They want you to realize that if you work out of égalité, which is reason, this is the first ritual officer that is not serving God but serving the world. This is exactly what the Fabians told to their community members. Don't work on yourself, work on the world. Look at the logos of the Fabian Society. And by the way, the Fabian Society, that's where the UN building is built. Right? That was the ground of the Fabian Society in New York. And the UN is one of those companies, one of those ultra supranational groups that are, basically ruling over this planet. There is another flag that is another logo that is associated with the Anarchy movement. What?
Reptilian overlords.
Yes. We have the black flag, of course, the black flag of the anti-fascist movement. The black flag is the flag of black magic, like the black cat. It's representing the devil. It's representing the void. It's representing the absence of light. So the black flag in itself is a highly occult symbol. And actually the first Jolly Roger anarchy flag was created in the Ukrainian separatists, right? And this is also the same logo for third degree Freemasons. They have that as well. And that is coming from the Templars when they transmutated their Templar flags into the Jolly Roger because they had to flee France. Because France was taking over the Templar system, the Templar banking exchange system, the trust system, but also, of course, taking all their treasures that was coming from the pilgrimages to the Holy Land. So France, the atheist land, was taking over the Templar system, which, kind of instituted themselves as being the protector of the Temple of Solomon, right? And so they had to kind of, mutate and morph their red cross, St. George cross, into the Jolly Rogers under the protection of the Portuguese and the Spanish flag. And of course, we have the sabot, which we all know, and there are, of course, many legends about this wooden shoe that it was placed in those machineries in order to not let them work, and so the workers could have a day off. That's a very romantic, beautiful thought, and it's also total bullshit, because the sabot is coming from the 16th century German farmers, and the farmer wars in Germany. All these people were these they're called Bundschuh. That means shoe of the union, shoe of the laborers. And they were showing by wearing those shoes that they were, belonging to this group, to this cult that was about to change the state's order. And so it had nothing to do with sabotage and now we have a day off. It was actually just to show that you are part of this new cult system. And even if you say, well, okay, if we abolish the church, what do we have left? I mean, if you look at these esoteric groups, these with pagan background, like anarchists, they were all believing in the end in goddesses and pagan goddesses, right? Because they were believing in reason, they were believing in conscience. Even Robespierre famously, he tried to unveil this huge white marble statue one day, on the Place of the Guillotine, that was called back then. And she was, Minerva. She was the goddess of reason. And so they were all believing in these Greek and Greco-Roman goddesses. So of course they were believing in something. They had faith systems in these occult, ideologies and icons that they were worshipping.
Yeah, in answer to Pet Brett, JFK was Catholic. Although from the Kennedy family, he was one of the more staunch Catholics, but yeah, he was Catholic. But what got him killed was that he kind of was pissing off all the wrong people. But yeah, he was Catholic.
Yeah. In Chicago, especially, he was pissing a lot of people off in Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, let's be. There is a documentary talking about like Marilyn Monroe herself, and in short, let me put it this way: he and his brother were sleeping with her so much that they would just tell her state secrets, especially the ones about the further development of more atomic bombs and IBMs during the Cold War. And if you want to dive a little bit further into, or more like dip your toes into the further conspiracy hole, there is the idea that supposedly he was made aware of the fact that he disagreed with like the Bay of Pigs strategy that the CIA wanted to propose to him, where basically the U.S. would have done like a 9/11 on Cuba, where they would have had their own soldiers.
The Northwood document.
Yeah. They would have had their own people dressed up as Cubans, and then then other people on their side would enact this tragedy or this battle and incite an excuse for the U.S. to go and reclaim Cuba from the communists, right? Of course, that never happened because he never signed it. But to go further into the waters, and then I'll revert back immediately. Yes.
With sharks and
yes,
people.
Exactly. I'm going to take you into the Tiger Shark Cove at this point. There's also theory that supposedly he got a hold of some knowledge of the fact that like the U.S. may have encountered some UFO technology and may have been making them and monopolizing it, and the whole deep state stuff, military industrial complex thing. And he was going to expose it because he believed in transparency. He always had. And he got, again, the man had enough reasons to be killed. The question is, which one was it? Because there's so many. And at least half of them are realistically sound, especially for the time period, right? If you're somebody's trying to keep it under wraps. But yeah, I'm going to,
most people never knew about Castro is that everybody's always claimed that Castro and Russia, or the Cubans and the Russians, were friends.
Yeah, no.
Well, not exactly. The Russians didn't trust him. So with the whole missile base thing, the Russians had a base, but they sent Castro to the wrong base, gave him all the intel. And their actual base only had 2 missiles on it, but they tricked him because they didn't trust him.
Oh yeah, the guy was. People don't seem to understand. The guy was extremely smart. Like, there's a reason why Castro held on to power for so long, even though he's for most Cubans he's considered like the literal devil. He was a smart devil, unfortunately. And it is what it is. Some people misuse their gifts for wanton self-gain at the suffering of others. But the guy was extremely smart. He was always very politically sound. If I'm being honest, he probably would have preferred to be in a situation where Russia wasn't involved at all. But the thing is, they were at a time after revolution where they had to make a choice, right? Do they either let the Americans in, and sure, they will prosper, but at what cost? Because let's be honest here, for longest until the revolution, Cuba was just what was known as its own independent country. Yeah, but they had a puppet ruler, okay, that was established beforehand, okay, and the U.S. had a big hand into Cuba's development, especially in the tourism area, right? Because of all the mafia dons moving their assets over there in order to escape regulations and other things, right? And the CIA, of course, well, not CIA, but like the covert ops in the U.S. before the CIA was established, they had their interest there. And of course, like usual, the government made deals with mafia dons that it's no shocker to us, but it would have been a shock back then, you know? But again, I'm going to shut up now. Let's keep going because I don't want to derail. We're almost... I don't want to. Go ahead, sir.
No, we're definitely gonna jump also into JFK. Unfortunately, today, like for it's truly packed with a lot of stuff. But I always love like to kind of slightly derail and open up different windows of, because in the end, yeah, like that Colonel Casey always says, right? It's all connected. But just to come back and to show, to even further prove my point that there is a lot of mysticism, a lot of occult and pagan belief systems, even in the so-called no-face system of anarchy, socialism, and communism. Let's take a look at this first flag of the first international worker that was, I think, founded in 1864 in London, where Karl Marx was also present, as well as of course, who 1 year later wrote the Revolutionary Catechism, which in itself, of course, is a belief-based inauguration into this world of anarchy. And look at this logo. We have the pyramid, of course, the pyramidion, the so-called Ben. And it's placed of the, behind of we see the backdrop of that flag, the International Workers Association, and we will also get in a second why they always used workers, but because there's a good reason for it. It wasn't just because Marx and Schelling and all these guys and Bakunin and Kropotkin and all believed in the workers so much. There's a specific reason why they aimed at workers first. And let's not forget the socialist movement in Italy with the workers created the fascist movement, and the same thing happened in Germany. So to say that fascism is a right-wing thing is absolutely wrong, because it's proven by history that all biggest fascist movements were actually created from the socialist parties. It's the National German Social Workers Association or party that created the fascist party. And the same thing is also true for the inventors of that word themselves, the Italians. Il fascio, the fascists, the fashion. Fashion comes from fascism, right? And where was this all invented? In Italy. Where did it come from? Of course, from the socialist movement, from people like this. Mussolini was also part of the Memphis Mizraim cult, like Garibaldi, like Bakunin, like the other guys as well. And so here we see the golden pyramid, the golden eye. And this was the first section. Where was it found? In London, the International Workers Association was founded. That was the first gathering. But the first section outside of Great Britain was, of course, founded in Switzerland. A Calvinist, Zwingli, Calvin, Rüdli, all these people, we talked about them last time, was, when we kind of speculated about who actually founded and created this nation, where we talked about the Templars and their tolerance, faith open-based system that they practiced, where they basically put everything into a huge pot. So to be in Switzerland, the first international section, to me it's very telling, right? It's the neutral state. Because they wanted to build a neutral world propaganda state where everybody was equal. So to me, there's no surprise that the first section was open in Switzerland. Also because Basel, in the old writing, was called Baal, which is, of course, the fire god. And here, again, we're coming back to the pagan roots, which, Baal, in a way, is Moloch, and you could say that's Baphomet. It's not completely the same thing, right? Guys, we're just... It's a broad sketch that we're kind of trying to give you here, which is really complicated, putting all these threats from all these countries, 250 years of history. But yes, you could say that Baal and Baphomet have a lot of commonalities, a lot of similarities to them. So again, even the city where they placed the first international workers' association outside of Great Britain, of its funding state, of course, the name itself of the city was referring to this mystical pagan, current that they had while they were creating this huge movement. Here you see it again. This was their first flag. And by the way, I don't know if we see it here, but the first German Workers' Party had a very occult symbol on their flag as well. Maybe we can find it later. It's very, very interesting. Also here, what do we see here? We see the torch, we see the hammer, we see the ruler, 90 degrees. This is all Freemasonry. The clockwork, everybody has to kind of work together. So these symbols are reoccurrent, even in the, in these left-wing so-called no God, no faith system that in the end demonstrated a very deep seated culture for these, for these occult currents and belief systems. I just wanted to show you this because I truly found that fascinating, that there is like definitely this pagan link to these workers' union and everything else. When Justin grows his beard out, scary similarity. Yes, because it's a conspiracy theory. Yeah. He kind of. It's true. He looks. But let's not dive in there because otherwise we will go nuts. I want to show you something. I prepared this drawing for you guys.
Okay.
So the blueprint worked always like this. You had a Freemason lodge, a very powerful, in a country like Italy, France, Great Britain, anywhere else, also in the United States. And these Freemason lodges were creating then, based on the writings of Bakunin, Kropotkin, and Proudhon and the others, were creating workers' unions. So, and these workers' unions were similarly organized to a Freemason lodge. They were full of occult symbolism, and they kind of practiced initiation rites, and they had habitual meetings that were kind of done and performed in secrecy, like the Rotary Club, the Lions Club, all these clubs, right? So in Italy, we have Bakunin, who met, of course, Giuseppe Garibaldi and Giuseppe Mazzini. Garibaldi and Mazzini free Italy, which of course is a complete propaganda machine. It's not true. Italy had no need to be freed. It was a Freemason takeover of the multicultural state of Italy that was unified with violence and power into one big nation. And the driving force behind that was Bakunin, and was also the Memphis Mizraim Rite, the Vatican, and other powerful forces in the background. We won't have the time to explain everything. We will definitely also have an episode about that. All these revolutionary processes that founded all these republics. So Bakunin, with Garibaldi and Mazzini, they were part of the Egyptian Mason branch of the Memphis Mizraim. And what they did, and Cagliostro also, the Italian Count de Saint-Germain, was also part of that. And they founded a group called the Carbonari, which is a workers' union. Now, I'll show you the logo of the Carbonari.
Okay.
And you tell me if that isn't highly occult. This is the Carbonari logo. Down here.
That's not the sickle. Oh no, not the sickle and hammer.
No, this is the. No, that's the communist. This is the Carbonari.
Sorry.
No. This is
even,
this is a black. What is worse? This is a black magic worksheet. You can use.
Yeah, that's
that's the Carbonari. That's.
Yeah. So let me put it this way, good sir Dobby. So in the middle, you got the pentagram, right? The sacred symbol of connecting the eldritch energies of the earth to the divine, right? Then up in the above that pentagram, you have the Christian cross, right? White cross representing purity. Yep, there you go. Then below you have the black cross, right, representing basically darkness, but also for the Satanists, we know what it is. Okay, there you go. It's just representing the evil upside down cross. And then on the left and right hand sides, it seems we have ancient symbols. Some of these might be. So we got a three-tip
That's a phallic
flower.
symbol.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. See. Yeah, we have those, right?
Something you boys used to just kidding.
Égalité, fraternité, liberté, right?
And then we have on the top on both the bottom right and left of the white cross, we have what are tridents, right? Which, if you did not know, tridents were related to Poseidon, okay, who is a divine deity of the sea, right? So just
again,
like
we have the
just
pagan
like
connection.
yeah, just like just like the sea, the populace cannot be contained, right? We are for the populace. And then on the left and right hand sides in the middle of the pentagram, I assume these are symbols representing most likely male and female.
Alpha
maybe
and Omega.
Yeah,
or alpha and omega. You're right. I'm so sorry, but
It's Alpha
yeah,
and Omega.
Omega. Yeah, might be that. Actually, might be that. Please let us know,
Well,
chat.
Alpha's more like,
Yeah. Oh goodness.
and then Omega is.
Hmm. Yeah, but either way.
no, I
like,
think that's epsilon, that's alpha, and that's epsilon. They took, I don't know why, the Greek letter epsilon. There's definitely also an occult meaning for that.
Of course.
So the Carbonaris then,
That's
in-
quite
in,
quite the symbol.
yeah,
shit.
that's quite a symbol. Carbonari
Like-
symbol is crazy. I will show you some other crazy symbols. Workers' Union that was a splinter organization. It was created
Yeah.
secretly from the Egyptian Masonic Memphis Mizraim rite that was joined by Bakunin, Garibaldi, and Mazzini, who was a big, not a big, but also one of the biggest Freemasons in Europe. And allegedly there was also like a connection to Albert Pike. So in Florence, this guy called Dolfi, who initiated Bakunin also in the group called Social Progress that was part of the Carbonari, they then created the Young Turks in Turkey, which then helped to succumb, the Ottoman Empire and kind of, ending that era of, of religious ruled based system, now turning through Ataturk Turkey into a secular republic. So basically the same blueprint like in France, like in Italy. We always have this reoccurring blueprint. Freemason lodges in certain countries creating workers' unions and these splinter groups that are highly influencing politics, always coming from the ground. The same thing happened also in Germany, where we have a splinter organization of the Grand Temple d'Orient in Munich creating the Thule order by Subottendorf, who was also a Turkish, citizen, but a German, of course, with a Turkish passport. And the Thule order created then, which was a paramasonic group, created then the National Socialist German Workers' Party. And the Bolsheviks following the same principles. In Turkey and in Greece, we have the dönme. These were semi-secretive schools and, philosophical think tanks for the new ruling generation that was raised. And again, behind the dönme, we find the Grand Temple d'Orient de France. The Ku Klux Klan in America was founded by the Sons of Malta and the Knights of the Golden Circle, which of course were splinter organizations of the Scottish Rectified Rite of Freemasonry controlled by Albert Pike. So it was a blueprint that was used all over to kick off all these Republican revolutions to install anarchy and, the belief system of Bakunin, to get rid of the church, to destroy economy, to deindustrialize all these nations, to make sure that they would have no faith in God or any other worldly beings anymore, and to create conformity inside of the states. And to top this off, there's another guy. His name is Moses Hess, a German guy who was part of the Henry IV Freemason Lodge, again in France, who in 1860 1962. He was a Jew, founded the Zionist movement by writing this famous book, Rome and Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem today, we still have a movement. It's called the kibbutz movement, which is an semi-anarchy type of workers movement that kind of, preys on, aggressive expansion and settling on land, which is definitely not Israel land. So expanding the territory by aggressive, settling in all these new workers that shouldn't be there, right? And therefore, of course, creating a lot of upheaval and a lot of stress in the international political community. Moses Hess also met many times with Frédéric Lassalle, a French guy who then founded the German SPD, the first international workers' party in Germany. And so we see this blueprint of occult symbolism carried through the Freemason Lodge and to these workers' union, and then spreading into, from the ground up, because that was their idea, ruling from the ground up. So the ground would become the new elite, flipping the paradigm.
Yes.
Agreed. Agreed. What else can I say? Yeah, it's just
pretty creepy stuff.
It is very. It is very startling.
But it does make you think.
Yeah, that's. But
It gives you nightmares.
Yeah, people need to. People don't like to think about this stuff because, it can.
Americans don't like to think. This is a known thing.
In general, in my experience, yes. In general, no. The few that I do find that do think are so damn rare. Like at a certain point. Most Americans will go up to a point, but then afterwards they'll throw the brick wall at you, and then you're like, shit. Okay, let me pull out my my normie program again, and because we can't go further than that. But no, yeah, I feel like these. I feel a lot of people don't seem to understand, but the only way you're going to learn about stuff is if you research it, but at the same time you have to analyze what you're reading, because. That we also have the complete opposite, where people just believe everything they're told without even bothering to verify whether or not even 10% of it is true, right? And so I believe it's each individual's responsibility to research and make sure that what they are looking for is correct and sound. Now, how do you verify that? Well, you study incessantly.
Hey, Osiris.
Hey, Osiris.
Yes,
There you go.
yes.
I might thought you said something different then. I must be tired. I'm not going to say what I thought you said.
Yeah. No, but like I mentioned, dude, is you gotta research, and it has to be, and the research will be endless. But also one thing people don't want to realize.
Yes.
This research will be forever endless. Even the most renowned scholars that had the most normal lives you can think of never stopped searching. Leonardo da Vinci, for example, was one of those people. Michelangelo was also one of those people, just to give you examples of people that we would consider normal, right? And the reason for that... No, people like Dolby and Coach over here, but
Hey, watch it, you.
Hey, what are you talking about?
My accent.
Hey.
Hey, mate. Yeah, I can talk.
Hey, mate. You be talking about that shit. Anyway, no, but like I said, it takes a lot of, just like be an information sponge, okay? And just like when people go to the gym to work out and they learn and they develop that discipline of working out either every day or realistically at least 3 times a week, right? But just the reason you're doing that is so you can develop a discipline, but at the same time, eventually you reach this realization of appreciation for the fact that you've given it so much discipline, right? You learn a lot
it's
about
the habit
yourself.
that makes you
Yeah, but people don't seem to understand that,
true.
right? There's a lot of people who are like, well, shit. Like, I hear this a lot from like
And this is so, I mean,
Yeah.
isn't
Go
this
for it.
funny that this exactly represents the antagonistic worldview of the anarchists, like anarchist and antichrist, right? It's very similar, but this is exactly what propagating today. Oh, it's called body positivity. Yeah, be fat, right? Or oh, you can choose whatever sex,
Live
whatever
less.
religion, tear down the temples, but live less, whatever you want, right? This is
Wolf
exactly
down
what
20 Big
Bakunin and
Macs,
all these
bro.
other
It
people.
doesn't matter.
Yeah. What they were telling us. This is exactly what they're telling us. Is like, hey, don't work on yourself. Work on the world. Change the world according to your view. Don't work on yourself. Don't get better. Don't improve. Don't improve your spirituality. Don't improve your health. That all doesn't matter, right? Because anarchists, like we are seeing today in our presentation, they don't believe in spirituality. That's so crazy because believe, to be in life, right? To be in the life means that you should also believe in that spirituality, and that whatever you work for is what you receive. No, instead they say, no, we are focused on matter. So if we change the matter around us accordingly to our needs and whatever we feel like is most comfortable for us, that is the solution. Because otherwise, you had to put in work. You had to kind of make sure to be on top of your game, to develop the habit of discipline, of consistency, to get out, to train, to read, to research, all this stuff. These people wanted to abolish books, libraries, any type of state institution, schools, because they don't want you to be informed. In the beginning, and I was an Antifa member, not really like a member, but I was part of Antifa. I was part of the demonstrations. And in the beginning, it sounds so good. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. Let's fight the system, bro. Yeah, the system is bad, dude. It's like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, the system is evil, bro. Bada boom, bada bam, bada beam. And you are there fighting police officers, smearing churches, desecrating holy places, destroying windows, trashing buildings, and bringing people out of their business, driving out people out of their business because they have no merchandise after you burned it. And you felt like, yeah, I'm doing a service to the community. So in the beginning, you really believe that stuff, right? Because they strip you off of that conscience that you should invest in your spirituality. But then at a certain point, you realize, what the fuck am I doing here? How am I investing my time? I'm just a nonsensical, raging, aggressive human being that denies everything that's beautiful about life, and I'm claiming that I'm fighting the good cause here. It doesn't make sense. So this is when I started also asking myself, I mean, I was fairly young. I was like 18, 19 years old when I was part of Antifa. And so it kind of took me a couple of years to realize that was absolutely nonsense.
Story
and that
time, coach.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was back in the days, It's like, 1st of May, I was there. I was, of course, fighting like everybody else was, because in the beginning, like I always said, if you're young and you're not a communist, you're a fool. But if you're old and you're still a communist, you're a fool. There are seasons for everything. These people, they don't want season. They don't want change. They want everything to be in conformity. That's why fascism comes out of that left-wing mentality. Because fascism, if you really break down fascism, they, like, in its core, it doesn't correspond to what we see then later played out, right, in these systems. These systems that we see, Hitler, Mussolini, Franco, all these other systems, they are left-wing systems. They want everybody to be conform, everybody to live in the box, everybody to have no sort of ambition and just serving the worker state, nothing else. The uneducated mass that just invests energy in return for something, like something to eat, a good. There is no property, there is no investment, there is no appreciation of your property, of your investment, nothing like that. And that's totally left-wing. That's why the socialist states are creating fascism. It's not a right-wing idea. It's an extreme left-wing idea. And we're seeing also today where the origins are. And just kind of to bring this also, to tie this in with the Olympic event, because many of the things that Bakunin wrote, I mean, they're already displayed at the Olympic open ceremony. I just wanted to point out something, even because we're looking also in the occult meanings, something that probably nobody looked at in this like this. So the idea of the tower is a very old pagan idea, like you find it in tarot cards everywhere else, right?
It
The
means
tower stands.
it's the self-destruction. It's the building up of the ego, the full self. And so in tarot, it teaches when you build like a false set of hope and you build like a false personality, sooner or later it's going to come crashing down. That's what it kind of means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in tarot, it's absolutely right. And
it's meant to be a bad tarot card, but it's a good tarot card because it actually teaches you to be honest with people.
it is.
Which tarot card again? Sorry, just want to make
Yeah,
sure.
it's
The tower.
It's the tower.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have a copy of it here. Give me a second.
Oh, yeah.
To find
Oh,
it.
you have it? Okay, cool.
Yeah, tarot.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but I do want to. Yeah, you're right.
Of course.
It's kind of crazy that you mentioned that, right? But like, goodness. No, yeah, it's like the whole setup with the entire Eiffel Tower, dude. It's there's a lot of
Joseph Eiffel.
Yep, there is a lot of occultism that you can get out of this tower, right? So, I mean, if anything, oh goodness, let's see. Oh, yeah, this is interesting, right? So the tower itself, right? So we always build these monuments pointing to the sky. You know, it's just like this innate desire that we have to reflect, to point back to the divine. That's pretty normal, right? But I always find it hypocritical of the fact that there is the basically a lot of depravity is held inside the tower. And, you know, obviously it's not always depravity. Okay, there is also normal functions, but the fact that they do this, it's pretty telling. And interesting you say that about towers. You know, the totem pole analogy, Brett, because normally in a lot of these shamanic religions, totem poles are held as sacred, and they're only really held or carried around if you're moving to a new location, or if you're doing a special ritual, either a dance or an actual shaman putting some kind of herb mix in order to sort of help cleanse you, right? And people don't seem to understand this, but the ancient, the Native Americans, the reason why they do these dances is because it's a very, very old proto-ritual that brings in the idea that by dancing, while singing these certain words and carrying around these significant religious objects and a shaman being around, you're sort of spiritually releasing all the negative emotions, but at the same time you're helping heal the earth and manage the earth being able to expulse its own negative energy, right? It's like it's sort of like a white blood cell destroying an invader inside your body. It's the same concept. But unfortunately, because a lot of these tribes were their teachings were almost obliterated, a lot of them were, but the ones that survive up until now, a lot of their teachings were completely obliterated. Oh, there it is, the tarot card of the tower. Oh, okay, very nice.
Let me see that. Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a very good one.
Wait.
Yeah, wait, he's gonna try to zoom in. Hold on.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wait, no. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's funny. It says draconian forceful. You know. But yeah,
Yes, yeah. Oh no.
yeah. But yeah, I just find it fascinating, you know, that it's a very dualistic representation of our current time with the Eiffel Tower, right? So, and oh, look at that!
Yes.
Of course, there's an obelisk. Who would have thought? Oh, and near the Grand
Yes.
Palais,
And
no fucking shit.
And the funny thing is, when I researched the opening ceremony, so in the initiation rite of Freemasons and also of the Grand Orient de France, right, Bakunin and all these other guys that basically wrote the principles that we see now being played out, right? There is this common thread that somebody comes from death from the north, gets to west, and gets then brought to the master of the chair, the master of the throne, or master of the lodge to be illuminated into the east. Now, this is the way it usually flows in order to be, you know, a positive, rejuvenating, spiritual kind of, you know, rebirth. because this is what it basically is. We fall from darkness and then we get transported into the light. That's the cycle of the initiation. The neophyte who meets the Hierophant and then becomes the Hierophant, and the Hierophant becomes the neophyte. The master becomes the practitioner, and the practitioner becomes the master, and so on. That's a healthy cycle. Now, in PATANÈ, of course, being a satanic ritual, everything has to be turned upside down. Everything be flipped, because this is what the Dark Lord does, right? He confounds, he flips, he turns the meaning around. And so they started their initiation, the rite with the torch, in the east. And then they traveled six kilometers into the west, of course. What did you say?
So basically, instead of from darkness into light, it's from light into darkness.
Yes,
So you flip
that's
the
what they
meaning,
did.
Just flip the whole ritual.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was a huge Freemason initiation of the unholy type, right? It was it was the flip side. It was a dark initiation that billions of people watched without even realizing what was going on. So they were traveling from east to west, of course, crossing not the south, because the south is a positive emblem in initiation rites. Wherever in shamanism and Freemasonry and Indian cultures, south always means life, because that's the passage of the sun. No, they moved from east to north, which represents death, and then, cross the obelisk, which is then the inverted needle of light. So it's the needle of darkness in this case. And then they ended up at the Eiffel Tower after 6 kilometers, 6,000 meters, which of course is a beautiful number. So what they did is, yes, of course, it's an unholy initiation. And they ended up here at the Trocadero, at the Esplanade, where you saw this checkerboard type of floor, the black and white floor with the red bridge in the background, which is, of course, the cup. It's the Rosicrucian initiation inward, right? So this is what they showed us. And that's why you have Dionysus coming down. It's with the Mithraic hat, with the pagan hat of the Jacobins. And it's even the mascot of the Olympic Games. So it's very clear that they're referring to the Jacobins, that they're referring to the Grand Temple d'Orient that was created even before the Jacobins, because they want to tell us, hey, it's a Mithraic cult. It's an inverted Mithraic underground cult that we're practicing here, where good becomes evil and women becomes man, man becomes women. We're flipping everything.
That's because they also showed the death of Bacchus.
Very
in the legend,
yes.
Bacchus is one of the few remaining of the old gods, and the legend goes that he knew he was going to ascend, but he basically got himself really drunk, and he sat down in the middle of the feast, and he effectively turned himself blue from alcohol. But the message was that his body was to be consumed in a great feast, which is what they kind of showed, which was the final death of an old god that would bring in the end of times. Fun times. So basically, they just showed the whole ritual of what kind of, I think the idea of the ritual was to flip society on its head, which is what they did. But I think they kind of took it a little bit too far. The kind of, let's just have Bacchus kind of naked having the feast part. Because I don't think he understood the final part of the ritual.
No. And also very interesting if you read Alexander Hislop and the Two Babylons, he's a reverend that also was etymologist. Bacchus means the lamented one, right? The one that you cry for. It's the one that, that is, you lament the missing, right? And so it's definitely,
it's the soul of you lament the parted. So the tradition was that you begin by lamenting those that you've lost, those that you've forgotten, and those who are in memory. But then you try to move forwards, but you deal with this idea of loss. So by the purging of tears, and then you get drunk, whatever, you're kind of purging the body. It's kind of what they go.
Also, I love that. Yeah, man. It's interesting how they kind of tied all this together. And of course, here we have the logo, which is supposed to show 20.
No, it's the symbol 4. So it's two. It's basically a symbol of 4, which in Hermetic magic is the signal for the end of times. No, it's actually no. Okay, it's not that bad. It means it's a connection of a crossroads. So you have one way of life replacing the other way of life. So that's kind of what it means. But if you are way back in the day when this is first conceived, that would be the sign of the end of times.
Now,
Okay.
if you look up, the symbology for the various planets, the 24 is the planet Jupiter, right? This is actually the symbol of the planet Jupiter, which is, of course, again, we have pagan, we have Jupiter, it's Zeus, and it's it's the Lord, it's the Lord of the pantheon, right? It's of course again the solar symbol, but in the end, this fire inside of the circle, that's Vesta, right? Inside of the circle, we have the fire, that's Hesta or Vesta, and it's an old fire. These old goddesses, these old pagan beliefs, what we see here played out, right? She is smiling. The fire's, right? The devouring fire that you carry inside, the fire of Vesta.
Womanhood. It's like that rite of birthing, a kind of sense of the divine feminine spirit, which is why they had drag queens do it.
So we basically assisted a black magic ritual in the end.
Hey, I'm just know the stuff. It's kind of, but yeah, I mean,
No.
I do know that the guy that organized it was a member of the Hermetic Order, but I think he left a couple of years ago. But he definitely knows his stuff.
Of course, Thomas Joly is. I looked into this guy, and also Barbara the Butcher, the fat, horizontally changed, morbidly obese, ugly toad that was representing Jesus. She's also a Jewish lady, right, with the goat as a tattoo on her right underarm.
Yeah,
Yes, very, very interesting stuff that happened. Yeah, the sabbatical goat, the Sabbath goat. Yes, and this is all what we're seeing, and that was built in the late 19th century, guys. And this is what played out on the 26th of July. By the way, and this is the end of our today's show. I just wanted to kind of point out the fact that from the fall of the Twin Towers to the ritual of the One Tower, it's 8,354 days. If you count it up together, it's the if you count those numbers together, you have the number 20. And 20, of course, it's dualism. It's the two towers. It's two, right? Oh. So we have the Twin Towers that fell at 9/11, and we have the single Eiffel Tower built by a Freemason, Gustave Eiffel, Grand Temple d'Orient de France as well. And so the two towers become the one tower in the passage of time, and combined, that number is 0, which again is the two in the sphere. It's duality, it's polarization, it's
hence the
that
monument that has
force.
Hence the monument of the void with water going down. Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, and fire in the back, of course.
You missed the other thing though, is the with the sabbatical goat. That's a nod to the cult of Mithras, which is still in existence, which does a sacrifice of a goat that brings people into the new age of wisdom. So the idea is you hunt. Basically, it's not human sacrifice as much, but it involves kind of like a big theater where they do like a hunt, and whoever is the goat is technically sacrificed for everyone else.
Yes, Vesta or Hesta later on. Yes. Guys, that was yes. At least yes.
At least,
guys, that was an amazing, at least an amazing episode. I knew it's gonna be, it would have been as epic, but it was even better than that. And our Reverend Raven Wolf, aka the Dark Hobby, Dobby, was a great contributor to the occult knowledge that we presented as well. And Dragon Slayer, of course, our professional historical derailer, added so much context to this beautiful conversation. I couldn't be more grateful about this deep dive into the Paris connection, the Olympic Games, Freemasons, and Anarchy. Please rewatch this episode if you have missed the beginning, because there's so much knowledge, there's so much info nuggets, there's so much context to learn from this. And to me, this was incredible fun. I think yes, Fire of Hestia is also, it's the same principle. And I've learned a lot, and I had so much fun, and we closed it in one episode. I'm truly proud of us, guys. So next Tuesday we can continue with our usual program. This was like a special event, breaking in type of program, because of the incredible images that were delivered to us by the incredible Tasteful Olympic Committee, and their cardboard beds, and their green policy that doesn't work, and the shuttles that are 2 hours late, and people that don't get fed eggs because they're just getting plant-based meals, and they have to buy stuff from it. They have to buy. Athletes are going to McDonald's to eat because the Olympic Committee didn't provide them with eggs. It's incredible. Yes. They didn't provide them with animal fat because they believe in plant-based nutrition, but many athletes don't give a shit about that. They just want to survive while they're trying to compete at the McDonald's. No, they're going to McDonald's. It's incredible. Olympic athletes are now going to McDonald's to eat because Paris is not able to feed them.
Dude, imagine having a body that wait, hold on. Imagine having a body that literally, just to stay functioning, burns by itself.
Yes.
3,500 calories. But then when you do any physical work, it increases it by almost 4,000 to 5,000, depending on what you do.
Yes.
Okay? Do you seriously expect your little plant-based cancerous bullshit is going to keep us alive?
It is cancerous, but yes, exactly.
It is.
So the shuttles are not working. The tourist guides, the green transportation is not working. There are, not enough shuttles. Way too much time. People are way too far off to get to their, to the respective stadiums. The basketball team, they had to face the American basketball, but all the basketball teams, the beds are just too small. They're all living in hotels now. They're having all extra expenses. The American basketball team is paying around $50 million to just sleep, because the Olympic Village had cardboard beds that are good for Ryan maybe, but not good for their athletic bodies when you have 7 feet. And so this thing with the opening ceremony and everything else seems to be a huge catastrophe, a huge disaster, organizational wise, PR wise. And just to kind of round this up, Paris is not the city of light. Since the beginning of time, Lutetia, that's the name of the city, is the city of the night, not of light. Why? Because Lutetia was, thought of the Roman. Lutetia literally means brothel. It means literally town of lust. It's like Pompeii. The Romans believe, like they founded the city. It wasn't really founded by the Romans, but they expanded the city and kind of reinforced it, because they wanted the Roman soldiers to have fun there and to kind of fuck a lot of prostitutes. So Paris was never called the city of light. It's the city of night. And by the way, if you go into the underground, you find 6 million bones and skeletons. So it's also called the city of dead.
Says, abandon all hope, you're now entering the city of dead. I did my thesis on the catacombs.
Oh,
nice.
Oh, that's nice. Neat, because
and I have actually been down there. I will never go back down there again.
Why? It's too... No. It feel too...
No. It's 300 kilometers, and they closed off the tunnels because they don't know on the maps where these tunnels actually lead to. It's an enormous cavity full of bones, of skulls, there have been noises recorded there, strange and eerie sounds, marks and symbols kind of appearing on the walls and disappearing. It's an eerie, frightening, scary place, and it has nothing to do with love
surrounded
or
by so much
romance.
Death, no wonder.
I can actually say that when I went down there when I was doing my thesis research, we went with a group of people, and it was like we had like a big group as well. So we had like the guide, we had the the lecturer with us, and there's like 6 of us. But there is a feeling that when you go down there, you're not alone. And the feeling is oppressive. So the longer you're down there, that feeling that something, it's a weird feeling. It's like that feeling when you know somebody's right behind you, but nobody's there. But now magnify that for every minute that you were down there. That feeling.
I totally understand.
I'm like, I ain't going back in there, never.
No. It's funny because Tolkien used a similar quote in The Return of the King when Aragorn with Gimli, Legolas, and the Grey Company that unfortunately didn't show up in the movie said they read the literal quote that says, "Abandon hope, all ye who enter here." I believe it was the quote. Yeah. So and ironically, they literally go into catacomb ruins of a long abandoned kingdom full of literal thousands of bones where people get lost or die because it's literally controlled by the dead. So I find that I find the correlation very interesting. Now I don't know if maybe that's what inspired Tolkien.
Probably
to
he knew
write
a lot
it, but
about the cavities in the underground. Yes.
It probably
also,
did
another
inspire
funny
him.
thing: the Olympic Village for the athletes, they have no AC because, of course, it's a green tournament, and so therefore they abolished ACs, and people are literally dying in their rooms. And there's because there is it's just fucking hot.
Guys, I have to say this, but like, if we keep going, we might as well call ourselves 3 Sages in a Time Machine extended edition. Like, if we do this, we might as well just mark it 2 hours as the cut version. Right?
Let's go. No, we should.
Extended edition. No, because like Brett's like...
well, so I can stay out.
No, we need to go 2 hours and 40 minutes. No. I mean, I love this conversation, but at a certain point, I think we made a point. We clearly... Yes, we need to eat. The fire of Hestia is burning deep inside of us, and the pork is waiting.
Of course, the pork.
Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you, Dobby. Thank you, Dragon Slayer. Please tell our beautiful audiences, chat members, everybody out there where we can find you guys. Dragon Slayer, please take it away.
Sure. Okay, sure. Well, if you guys want to find me, not sure if the... Okay, well, if you guys want to find me, just type in the words Dragon Slayer commentaries on the YouTube search bar. I'm the only hoodie dragon that has a nice drip. And if you want to catch me live every Saturday, again at 3 p.m., unless otherwise stated, we will be having the Tangent King podcast where, thank God, we're not going to be talking about the fucking Acolyte anymore. We are actually going to be talking about... Yeah, I know. We're actually going to be talking about the most recent episode of House of Dragon, but also episode 6, since we couldn't touch on it last week. We're going to talk about those two just right off the bat, and then we're going to be talking about why Demolition Man was such a iconic, prophetic movie. Yeah. It's a movie that I actually did a review on, and I'm quite excited to talk about that because I feel like, with all the crazy
our professional tax evader Wesley Snipes.
Exactly. Yeah. Like we're going to be talking about that again at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and 5 p.m. UK time. And if you want to catch my content, just go to the video section. And if you want to find any of my socials where maybe you want to you just see what the hell I'm doing on a daily basis on Twitter, or if you want to god damn it, fuck you, coach. Anyway, but if you guys want to listen to the live streams, because I don't know, maybe you're into ASMR or some weird shit. I don't know. Maybe you like hearing Ryan and Dobby's voice. I don't know.
Why? Why would anyone like to listen to them? Oh my.
I mean, you can always listen to mine. Hey, you can listen to my soothing voice too. It works too. It works both ways. We'll just have the tantric yoga sex sounds over there. But if you guys want,
I'm trying to come out this time as well.
That's what she
Yes. No, we would love
I'm
to
trying
see
to
you. I know Dobby will show up and most likely Ryan, but Coach, it'll be awesome when if you can show up for it because I think you're going to enjoy that one. But like I said, guys, I'm working on at least 3 new videos. I'm going to try to get at least one of them out this week. Also, again, you want to catch any of my stuff, just keep up with my links. I don't know, subscribe to my link tree, which is in the about section of my channel. That will help you basically get everything good in order that we can keep up with all my shit. Oh, I also have a Rumble. It's on the link tree. I'm going to stop going on a long tangent, but if they keep making more noises, I might just keep on talking. Like, I'm just going to be saying random words like hey! Nah, I'm done.
Really? Are you sure? Okay. Dobby, take it away, good
Yo
sir.
hablo español.
Are you sure you're done?
Yes, I'll be good dragon now.
Good little dragon. Hi, I'm Dobby. you can catch me probably with these 2 guys on Tangent Kim Podcast Saturday, and you can catch me on Will of the Fans channel on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays as well. I'll be doing videos or live streams probably spontaneously. I'll try to announce them ahead of time, which I usually don't do. But yeah, come join my channel, Hunter Rev Ravenwolf. Like I said, I just do reaction videos, make fun of people, pop culture, you name it. And I get to annoy Coach. Wait, Coach is over there. No, wait, he's over there. And I'm at the bottom, so you guys have swapped around.
Oh yeah, that's true. Dobby, man, like at this point, I feel like you should just call yourself the Hermetic Dobby, just for shits and giggles.
Hermetic, though. Yeah,
no, the Hermetic House Help. That would be great.
But thank you for having me along. It's been great fun.
Hey, bro, it's awesome always having you here, Dobby, man.
Thank you so much, man. Absolutely, man.
Please join more. We need somebody to offset Ryan's buffoonery.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was a great show today. One of our longest running shows so far, time-wise. I think we really covered an incredible topic, and we showed how history is relevant even today, and by kind of researching deeply what kind of stuff you can unearth, what kind of information you can encounter, how much richer your context of the world, of the happenings, of the occurrings like gets. And therefore I feel like always, yes, ignorance might be a bliss, but I like to know stuff, because the unknown makes me afraid of tomorrow. When I know what's going on, I'm less afraid of getting up the next day, and knowing what to do always makes me feel better about my own confidence, about my own strength, about my own skills. So this is what we do. We expose information. We disclose the good stuff. We unearth everything that was hidden so far and inhabited by the world. Right now it's inhabited by our minds. Now we can deal with it. Now we can know what to do, how we position, where the enemies are, what's the good and what's bad. I mean, all this stuff is absolutely fundamental to thrive as human beings, and also to be not always in the cage of constraints, in the mental prison that the system wants you to be. So expand your knowledge, proliferate, and be out there every time you get called to action, and never track back for no reason. There is no reason. Open your eyes and see what's going around there, because the world is a beautiful place, and it's a manifold place with so many wonders and incredible discoveries. And I'm waiting for your discovery out there to open your channel and to bring some information forward that we haven't discovered yet, so we can get better and bigger in the process. If you like to support this channel, of course, just smash the like button and subscribe. Also to these wonderful creators, to Dobby and to Dragon Slayer commentaries, jump to their channels and show them some love. Share this content with the ones that you love as well. If you need any information about my services, come over to readytoperform.com. As always, we have our next open class doodles on Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I promise I'm going to use this time slot for the last time, and then we're going to switch to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday as well. See you probably also on Tangent King this Saturday, and then on Saturday Night Hypnosis, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Hypnotic Suitable this Saturday. Otherwise, we have our next open class doodles, which is on Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, next Tuesday, in 1 week from now, 3 Sages in the Time Machine, maybe with Dobby again, definitely with Dragon Slayer. And if the card board Castle King will finally also join us. And then we will have Ryan as well. It was a blast sharing this information with you guys. I had a lot of fun. And just see you next time with the next video. Thank you so much for coming out. To everybody present today in the chat, it was great reading your comments. Thank you so much for the interaction. Thank you to all the crowds out there. And now I believe you're ready to perform.